Welcome back to the final part of What If Sasuke Killed Sakura After They Sealed Kaguya. Please remember to like and subscribe as it motivates me to upload more videos in the future, and as always, link to the fanfiction is in the description. 5 days later, 11:30 p.m. Small village just outside Iwagakure. Sai, do you think they'll be finished anytime soon? Shisui asked in an annoyed tone. Sitting to Shisui's left was Sai, and to his right sat Choji. Both shinobi had a similar look of annoyance on their face. All three of them sported a bright blush on their face, as they listened to the activities happening in the room next to them. Before either Choji or Sai had a chance to speak, a loud moan pierced into their room. Yes, this feels fantastic. Conan's scream of pleasure caused all of their blushes to darken several shades. Choji was so red that Shisui thought the poor boy was going to pass out from sheer embarrassment. When the screaming had died down once again, Sai cleared his throat. From the sounds of it, they're nearing the end. Conan and Ryuzetsu are usually the last to have a go at Naruto. Sai said, trying his best to keep his mind off what was happening in the adjacent room. Shisui was surprised to see that Sai was blushing. However, after hearing what they had heard for the past 2 hours would even make someone as perverted as Jiraiya blush slightly. As if on cue, another scream of ecstasy was heard, this time from Ryuzetsu, proving Sai's point. Oh Kami. Naruto, this is amazing. Why can't he just use some Kage Bunshin and speed all of this up? Choji groaned, as he covered his head with a pillow. You heard what Naruto said. To those girls it's not the same thing if it's not coming from the original. Shisui replied, pulling out his tanto. The Uchiha then reached into his pack and pulled out a few supplies. With a light sigh, Shisui began the process of cleaning his weapon. I give them another 5 minutes tops. In Naruto's room. Oh, Naruto, this is simply heavenly. Ryuzetsu moaned, as she sunk deeper into her chair. Well, I guess Ero Sennin did teach me a few useful things. Naruto said with a grin, sitting in front of the white-haired beauty. The blonde continued his ministrations, causing Ryuzetsu to let out another soft moan. Kami, this is the best foot massage I've ever gotten. Ryuzetsu said, as she slightly curled her toes. I know that bastard is the world's biggest pervert, but he sure knows how to give one hell of a massage. Enko said with a relaxed look on her face. No kidding, I might actually have to thank him for teaching Naruto-kun his techniques. Ino commented, as she curled and uncurled her toes. Tsunade-sama is lucky to have his magic hands all to herself. Tenten said, earning a pout from Naruto. Hey, I'm right here, you know. Naruto exclaimed, as he stopped massaging Ryuzetsu's feet. Naruto. Ryuzetsu growled, causing the blonde's body to go stiff. Don't you dare stop. Yes, Ryuzetsu-chan, Naruto said in a dejected tone, as he got back to work. Oh, don't be like that, Naruto. Sakura said with a small smile. You know that no one can replace you in our eyes. Why yeah, you're the only person we'd want touching our bodies. Hinata stuttered out with a slight blush dusting across her face. If that pervert ever tries to lay a finger on me, I'll break his arms. Tamari snarled, remembering when Jiraiya had tried to peep on her during her date with Naruto to the hot springs. Tsunade-sama can have him all to herself, I'd much rather have you, Naruto. Thanks, girls, Naruto said with a smile, as he finished up Ryuzetsu's massage. I love you all. And we all love you. Sakura said, kissing Naruto on the cheek. Now let's get everyone packed and ready to go. If we leave soon, we should be able to arrive in Iwa by 2 o'clock. Ah, come on Pinky, can't we just relax for a little while longer? I mean, we all just got foot massages, for crying out loud. Enko whined, as she stretched out in her bed. Come on, someone back me up here. Sorry Enko, but I'm gonna have to agree with forehead. Ino said, crossing her arms under her ample chest. The platinum blonde suddenly turned around, and glared at the wall behind her. Because if I have to hear Shisui sigh one more time, I'm gonna head over there and kick his ass. Sorry. Shisui's voice called out from the next room. Come on Enko. Iwa is the last stop on our trip. Tenten added, as slowly got out of the chair she was sitting in. Once we're finished there, we can finally head back home. I must agree with Tenten. I've been rather homesick lately, and I wouldn't mind returning home soon. Hinata said, pressing her index fingers together. Fine. Enko said, as she got up from her bed and grabbed her pack. You guys are right, so let's get moving. I wouldn't mind heading back home either. Sakura-chan, you take the other girls and go check out. I'll go tell the guys that we're ready to leave. Naruto said, exiting the room out into the hallway. The blonde walked over to the adjacent room, and gently knocked on the door. After a few minutes Sai opened the door. Oh, looks like Dickless is done having his fun. Sai chided, causing an annoyed look to form on Naruto's face. After what we just had to listen to, I'm pretty sure he isn't, Dickless, Sai. Choji said, as he lifted the pillow of his head. I swear you and those girls are like a bunch of rabbits in heat. Shisui said dryly, resheathing his tanto and putting away his cleaning supplies. What the hell are you three on about? Naruto asked, quirking a blonde eyebrow. Are you serious? Sai replied with a frown. We've been listening to you and your girls humping like wild animals for the past 2 hours. Humping, Naruto repeated with a confused look on his face. After a few moments Naruto connected the dots, and he burst out laughing. What the hell is so funny? Shisui asked in a confused tone. Haha, I wasn't having sex with any of my girls. Biwahaha. Naruto laughed, as he held his stomach. The hell you weren't, we could hear you in there. Choji exclaimed, shooting up off the bed. No. Ha ha ha, no, you've got it all wrong. Naruto said, as he wiped a tear from his eye. I was giving my girls foot massages. What? All three shinobi said simultaneously with a deadpanned expression. Yeah, Naruto said, his laughter finally calming down. Eros Sennin taught me a bunch of his special massages during my training trip. So all that moaning we've been hearing all throughout this trip has been you giving your girls massages? Shisui asked in a skeptical tone. Yep, I haven't had sex with any of my girls since we left Konoha. Naruto explained, before he suddenly leaned closer. But I can tell that they're starting to get really anxious. You know what they say, women get a lot hornier when they're pregnant. That's a real thing, Choji asked, quirking an eyebrow. Hell yeah, those girls practically jump me every time we're alone. But I've held off doing anything with them until we get back home, and I can tell they're starting to get antsy. It gets really hard sometimes, because I can hear them, relieving themselves from time to time. Naruto replied, placing his hands on his hips. Wow, sounds like you have it real rough. Shisui said sarcastically, as he rolled his eyes. Hey, you have no idea how hard this is on me. Naruto hissed in a slightly upset tone. Do you have any idea how hard it is to resist 8 beautiful and horny girls constantly? I've got a serious case of blue balls going on right now. Ouch, that does sound pretty bad. Choji said, as he winced slightly. What are blue balls? Sai asked with a confused look. I'll tell you some other time. Shisui replied, placing a hand on Sai's shoulder. So what did you want, Naruto? Well, I came to tell you guys that we're ready to leave. Naruto said, as he gestured down the hall. The girls are checking out right now. Finally, we've been ready to go all morning. Choji said, pushing past Shisui and Naruto. Let's get back onto the road. Alright, let's get going. Naruto said, as he followed behind Choji. After Naruto's team had checked out of the inn they were staying at, they were once again on the road towards their final destination. The area surrounding Iwagakure was very mountainous, and was widely known to be very dangerous. Steep cliffs and deep ravines surrounded the village on all sides. Naruto had decided that it was best for the group to take it slow through the rough terrain. After carefully navigating the treacherous terrain for almost 3 hours, Iwa's gates finally came into view. But as Naruto's group neared, the ground beneath them began to rumble. Before any of the team could react, their legs became encased in stone, stopping them in their tracks. Great, another warm welcome. Naruto said sarcastically, as a group of Iwa shinobi sprang from the ground in front of them. A large amount of dirt and debris was kicked up, partially concealing the shinobi that had burst out of the ground. Well, what do we have here? A gruff voice asked, as the dust began to settle. Before Naruto's team stood a tall and brawny shinobi. The imposing man also sported a dark gray beard and a bulbous nose. Looks like we've got a few Konoha shinobi trying to enter our village. Wait, I know you. Sakura said, as she scanned the Iwa shinobi up and down several times. Yeah, you're, Kitsuchi, yeah, that's it. You were the commander of the short-range battle division during the war. That is correct, girl. I was appointed head of village security when the war ended. Kitsuchi voiced, walking up the Konoha group, with the other two Iwa shinobi following close behind. Now, please explain why you all wish to enter our village. Because seeing a Konoha shinobi, let alone a whole group, around these parts is extremely rare. We're here on a mission directly from the Hokage. I'm to meet with the Tsuchikage, and speak with him. He should have already received word that I would be arriving. Naruto explained, as he slowly reached into his pack and pulled out a manila folder. This folder holds all of my mission instructions, straight from the Hokage's desk. Kitsuchi eyed the folder for a moment, before he grabbed it from Naruto's hand. We have nothing to hide. Everything seems to check out. Kitsuchi said, handing the folder back to Naruto. All the Konoha shinobi let out a sigh of relief when the stones binding their legs fell apart. If you follow me, I'll take you all straight to Tsuchikage-sama. As Naruto followed Kitsuchi through the village, he never noticed a pair of pink eyes watching him. Kuretsuchi couldn't help the smirk that spread across her face, as she watched the blonde Jinchuriki walk through the village. So the hero of the shinobi world has graced our village with his presence. Kuretsuchi said to herself, as her smirk widened. I'll have to personally welcome him to our village. 5 minutes later, Tsuchikage's office. I was Tsuchikage, Onoki, grumbled to himself as he sat at his desk. The short elderly man could barely be seen behind the large stacks of paperwork on his desk. Ever since the war had ended, Iowa had been flooded with job requests. People around the elemental nations needed experienced Doden users to help repair the damages that were caused during the fighting. As Onoki continued to sign documents, his loyal bodyguard Akatsuchi stood at his side. The large man was extremely loyal to the Tsuchikage, and was even known as his shield. Sigh, will this paperwork never end? Onoki complained, as he finished looking over another stack of papers. When is that Gaki Kakashi sent gonna be here? Maybe he can alleviate me of my incessant boredom. Don't worry, Tsuchikage-sama, you should be finished before nightfall. Plus, this is the last batch of paperwork that you have. I know you've been working long hours the past few weeks. So once you're finished, you should be able to take the next few days off to relax. Akatsuchi said, earning a sigh of relief from Onoki. It will be nice to have a few days of downtime. Onoki said, as he quickly read over a new document. Maybe I'll go visit Kuretsuchi. It's been quite a while since I've spent any time with her. She seemed pretty excited to hear that Naruto Uzumaki was coming to our village. Akatsuchi said offhandedly, causing Onoki to raise an eyebrow. Did she happen to say why? Onoki asked with hint of intrigue in his voice. No, but to be honest, I didn't really question her on it. Akatsuchi replied with a shrug of his shoulders. I'm rather excited to see him as well. He is the hero of the shinobi world after all. I'd love to speak with him. He's Minato Namikaze's son, you know. Onoki pointed out, casting a quick glance at Akatsuchi. Yes, most of the village knows that now. I know Naruto's father killed a great number of our soldiers during the Third Shinobi World War, but that's all in the past now. Akatsuchi said, as he turned to look out a window at the village below them. I hold no ill feelings towards Minato or Naruto. It was wartime, and Minato was simply carrying out his orders and doing his duties as a soldier. I used to hold such a strong and bitter grudge towards Minato and Konoha. Onoki said, his brows furrowing as he stared down at his desk. There was a time where I would have had killed Naruto just for being Minato's son, even if he was just a small child. But after meeting the boy, he has opened my eyes. He made me realize the error of my ways, and because of him I wish to strengthen our village's bond with Konoha, and other villages across the elemental nations. Naruto dreams of peace in the shinobi world, and now so do I. During my long life, I've lived through 3 shinobi world wars, and I don't wish to experience another. I've seen enough bloodshed to last 1,000 lifetimes. So I've decided to help Naruto obtain his dream of world peace in any way I can. Well said, Tsuchikage-sama. Akatsuchi said, but before he could say any more, a sudden knock came from the door. Come in, Onoki shouted, as he pushed his paperwork aside. Tsuchikage-sama, there are some Konoha shinobi here to see you. Kitsuchi said, opening the door and allowing Naruto's team to enter. Ah, so you've finally arrived, Naruto. Onoki said in a happy tone. The elderly man gestured to a group of seats in front of his desk. Please, come take a seat. Thank you Tsuchikage Jiji, Naruto said, causing a tick mark to form on the Tsuchikage's forehead. The blonde Jinchuriki walked towards the desk, and took a seat in one of the available chairs. I take it that you know why I'm here. Yes, Kakashi sent word of your arrival about a week ago. Onoki answered, as he glanced at the rest of Naruto's team. But, I'd rather discuss these matters in private. If your team is willing, I'm sure Akatsuchi can find somethings for them around the village. We've been extremely busy since the war ended, and we could use all the help we can get. Sure, we'd be happy to lend a hand, Sakura said with a bright smile. Good, Onoki said, turning towards Akatsuchi. Take the rest of Naruto's team, find out what they're specialized in, and find them some work to do. Of course Tsuchikage-sama, Akatsuchi said, as he bowed slightly. However, before Akatsuchi could lead Naruto's team out of the room, the blonde Jinchuriki stopped him. Naruto pulled the large man close, and whispered in his ear. Hey, all of the girls are pregnant. So don't have them do anything too strenuous. Naruto whispered, earning a nod from Akatsuchi. Thanks man. So my boy, what would you like to discuss? Onoki asked as soon as Akatsuchi and the rest of Naruto's team had exited the room. Everything we'll need to talk about is outlined in this document, Naruto replied, handing Onoki the same manila folder he had given Kitsuchi. The elderly man took the folder from Naruto, and began to read over its contents. If there's anything you don't want to discuss, I'm totally okay with that. Kakashi-sensei gave me orders not to try and pry information out of the cage. We just want to know if Konoha can aid the other shinobi villages. This mission is the first step of my training to become Hokage, so I'm really trying my best. Well, I have no problem discussing anything Kakashi on here, Onoki said, as he set the manila folder down on his desk. I must admit that our village has been overwhelmed since the war ended, so we could use a little extra help. We would gratefully accept any aid that Konoha can offer. That's great to hear, Naruto said with a wide smile, pulling a pen and pad of paper out of his pack. Let's get this show on the roll then. 2.5 hours later. I believe that's everything that Kakashi wanted to know, Onoki said, as he leaned back in his chair. Good, I'll send this information to Kakashi-sensei as soon as possible, Naruto said, storing away the papers that he had filled out. The blonde Jinchuriki stood to leave, but he was stopped by Onoki. Before you leave, was there anything else you wished to discuss? Onoki asked, causing Naruto to go stiff for a moment. This wasn't missed by the elderly Kage. I couldn't help but notice that you seemed rather tense during our discussion. Was there anything extra that you wished to speak about? Actually, yes, there is Tsuchikage Jiji, Naruto replied, as he once again sat in his seat. The blonde shinobi clasped his hands in his lap, and looked Onoki right in the eyes. There's 2 more matters that I need to speak with you about. Okay, I still have some spare time. So out with it boy, Onoki said, leaning back forward in his seat. The first thing I wish to talk about has to deal with your village's Jinchuriki, Naruto explained, causing Onoki to quirk an eyebrow. Han and Roshi are alive. I already know that Roshi is alive, Onoki said, causing Naruto's eyes to widen in shock. How could you possibly know that? Naruto asked in a surprised tone. Because he's in the village as we speak, Onoki revealed, completely stupefying the blonde Jinchuriki. He showed up at the village gates almost 2 weeks ago. After we determined that it was really him, and after he tried to explain why he was again back in the land of the living, we allowed him back into our village. He is a very skilled and experienced shinobi, so we quickly folded him back into our ranks. Onoki's eyes narrowed as he stared at Naruto. Although I'm quite curious as to why Roshi is alive, all he could tell us was that it likely had something to with you. Sai, it's true, I brought all the Jinchuriki and many other fallen Shinbone back to life, Naruto explained, as he activated his Rinnegan. Onoki was surprised to see that Naruto possessed the legendary dojutsu. But he didn't let his shock show outwardly. Instead, Onoki floated out of his seat, and approached Naruto. How did you come to possess such a powerful dojutsu? Onoki asked, stroking his beard while he inspected Naruto's Rinnegan. My former friend Sasuke was given this Rinnegan during our fight against Madara, Naruto said, as he deactivated his Rinnegan. After I killed Sasuke, I took his Rinnegan so that I would be unable to undo the infinite Tsukuyomi and bring back the brave shinobi that had died fighting during the war. I see. Onoki mused, as he sat back down into his seat. Why did you bring up Roshi and Han? Well, the Biju wished to be sealed within their Jinchuriki once again. Naruto replied, as he placed a hand on his stomach, lightly clutching the fabric over his seal. They want to prove that Biju and humans can live together in harmony. They've seen how well Kurama and I get along, and they want similar relationships with their former Jinchuriki. Kokuo and Son Goku are the only two Biju that are still waiting to be resealed. Roshi did seem adamant about possibly having Son Goku sealed back within him. Onoki said in a thoughtful tone. He told me that he had finally came to good terms with Son Goku, and that he wished to get to know the Biju better. So you'll allow Kokuo and Son Goku to be resealed within Han and Roshi? Naruto asked in a hopeful tone. I don't see why not. Onoki answered, shrugging his shoulders. But there's just one problem. We have no idea where Han is. That's no problem. I can search for him tomorrow using my Sage Mode. Naruto said, earning a nod from Onoki. I'll try to convince him to come back to the village. Very well then, Onoki said, crossing his arms over his chest. You said there was two things you wished to discuss, correct? Yeah, there was one other matter I wanted to talk about. Naruto said, as his nervousness from earlier returned. The blonde suddenly began to rub the back of his head, doing his best to avoid Onoki's gaze. Taking a deep breath to help calm his nerves, Naruto finally locked eyes with the Tsuchikage. Obito Uchiha is still alive. What? Onoki asked, his hearing must be getting bad. There was no way he had heard the blonde Jinchuriki correctly. You'll have to repeat that, boy, because I could have sworn that you said that Obito Uchiha was alive. I said that Obito Uchiha is alive, and he is currently living in Konoha. Naruto repeated, causing Onoki's eyes to widen considerably. I brought him back to life as well. You did what? Onoki shouted, as he slammed his hands onto his desk. Naruto flinched slightly when wooden splinters flew past his head. Well, things were going better than expected. At least he wasn't disintegrated by one of the Tsuchikage's Jintenjutsus. Care to explain to me why that man is still breathing? He helped start the war, and he killed hundreds of allied shinobi force ninja. To be fair, I brought everyone Madara and Obito killed back to life. Naruto pointed out, causing Onoki's eyes to narrow dangerously. He is the reason your parents are dead, child. Onoki said in a low tone, striking a chord in the blonde Jinchuriki. The blonde shinobi grit his teeth, as he tried to reel in his anger. He unleashed the Kyuubi upon your village, which forced your parents to sacrifice themselves to stop the Kyuubi from destroying the village. How do you know that? Naruto asked, as he tightly clenched the armrests of his chair. We had a few spies investigate around Konoha after the Kyuubi attacked. You don't unleash a Biju on a village, and not garner some interest. Onoki explained in a calm tone. After some digging we managed to find out that the Kyuubi had been sealed within a new Jinchuriki. But we had no idea that it was Minato's own son. Listen here, Naruto exclaimed, shooting up from his seat and getting in the Tsuchikage's face. The elderly Kage was unfazed by Naruto's actions. The man that unleashed the Kyuubi on my village wasn't Obito. That was a man who was being manipulated and controlled by Madara Uchiha. The real Obito is a kind and caring man, who loves his village. Naruto released a few shaky breaths to help calm himself. Suddenly Naruto lowered his gaze away from Onoki. I know Obito has done horrible things, and I can never forgive him for unleashing Kurama on our village. But he's the reason I became the man I am today. Because of him Kurama and I are friends, and I'm on the path to becoming Hokage. Pausing for a moment to collect his thoughts, Naruto once again met the Tsuchikage's gaze. Listen, I'm not asking you to forgive Obito. All I ask is that you give him a chance to prove that he's a good man. I promise you, he'll be spending the rest of his life trying to make up for his past mistakes. Let's say I do allow Obito to live. What type of measures is Kakashi taking to ensure that Obito doesn't go back to his evil ways? Onoki asked, deciding to humor the blonde Jinchuriki. Kakashi-sensei has already placed a chakra suppression seal on Obito. With his chakra blocked, Obito cannot use his Sharingan or any of his jutsus. Naruto replied, stepping away from Onoki's desk. Obito is also being closely monitored at all times. He is also one of the founding members of Konoha's new police force, so Kakashi-sensei can keep a watchful eye over him. However, Kakashi-sensei does hope that he will be able to lessen the seal in a few years, with permission of all the other Kage of course. I suppose if Kakashi keeps a close eye on him. Have the other Kage agreed to this as well? Onoki asked, earning a quick nod from the blonde. Fine, I will let it slide this one time. But if I receive word that Obito is up to something, I will not hesitate to send an assassination squad after him. I'm placing a lot of trust in you, boy, and my trust is not easily gained. Arigato, Tsuchikage Jiji. Naruto said, bowing slightly towards the elderly Kage. If that is all, I will see myself out. Before you leave, I have one more question for you, boy. Onoki said, as he got off his seat and floated towards Naruto. Since you have the Rinnegan, you now have power over life and death. The Tsuchikage stopped in front of the blonde Jinchuriki. He had been wondering one thing since he had found out that Naruto possessed the Rinnegan. Why don't you bring your parents back to life as well? Hey, you know I ask myself that question almost every day. Naruto replied in a quiet and slightly pained tone. Releasing a breath, Naruto turned his gaze towards the floor. I still don't really know why myself. My parents may not be alive, but they are always with me. The blonde placed his hand over his heart, and squeezed gently. They died heroes that are honored by our village. I guess that's how I want to remember them. As heroes who gave their lives to save me and their village. Naruto raised his head, flashing Onoki a bright smile. I know that my parents love me, and that's all that matters to me. So you wish to honor your parents' memory? Onoki said, as he rubbed his chin. I'm glad to see that you hold your parents in such high regards, boy. You are free to go now. Okay, I'll get in contact with you tomorrow after I find Han. Once I've handled him, I'll speak with Roshi. Naruto said before he walked out of the Tsuchikage's office. Hey, that boy never ceases to surprise me. Onoki said with a smile, as he gazed out the window. At the village bellow. 5 minutes later, edge of the village. Man, I can't wait for tomorrow. It's gonna be awesome to see Han and Roshi again. Naruto said with a grin, walking along the outskirts of Iwa. The blonde Jinchuriki had decided to go for a walk, so that he could stretch his legs after being cooped up in the Tsuchikage's office for so long. I hope that the girls aren't pushing themselves too hard. As Naruto walked through the deserted streets, he suddenly felt a tingle shoot up his spine. I don't think we're alone, Naruto. Kurama rumbled in a low tone. I know. Someone has been following us since we left the old man's office. Naruto thought, continuing to walk so that he wouldn't look suspicious. I don't sense any malicious intent, so I don't think it's an enemy. But however it is does want to fight. Be ready for anything, Kurama said, preparing to give Naruto some of his chakra. Moments later, as if on cue, their mystery pursuer made themselves known. Yoden, Sekaigyo no Jutsu. Naruto quickly jumped out of the way to avoid the sudden attack. Spinning around in the air, the blonde Jinchuriki saw a large puddle of gray acid bubbling where he had just been standing moments before. Nice job dodging my attack. I thought that I had hidden myself better, but I guess I still need some work. A feminine voice said from above Naruto. Looking up, Naruto spotted a girl with short black hair and pink eyes staring back at him. The girl had a wide grin spread across her face, as she placed her hands on her hips. Naruto's eyes narrowed as he scanned over the girl's features. She looked familiar. Naruto knew he had seen her before. Ah, you don't remember me, do you? Well, I guess that makes sense, because you ran off before I could properly introduce myself. Wait, Naruto said, as everything began to click together. Then it suddenly came to Naruto. You were one of the Iwa shinobi I met on that island in Mizu no Kuni. You were with that really big guy that's always with Tsuchikage Jiji. And I stopped you from killing Ganryu. Ah, so you do remember me. The girl said, jumping down in front of Naruto. Still smirking, the girl extended her hand towards Naruto. The name's Kuretsuchi. You're Naruto Uzumaki, right? Yeah, Naruto replied, as he shook Kuretsuchi's hand. The blonde Jinchuriki couldn't stop his eyes from taking in the girl's appearance. She was definitely a beautiful girl with a toned and athletic build similar to Sakura and Fu's. But one of her most striking features were her pupilless pink eyes. Naruto couldn't seem to tear himself away from those stunning eyes. It's nice to meet you. But why did you just attack me? Well, you're the hero of the shinobi world, aren't you? Kuretsuchi asked, a large smirk still spread across her face. I wanted to see if you were as strong as everyone says you are. Huh, Naruto said with a confused look on his face. I challenge you to a fight. Right here, right now. Kuretsuchi exclaimed, leaping away from Naruto and entering a fighting stance. Show me what you're made of. I don't know, Naruto said, as he rubbed the back of his head. I should probably be getting back to rest of my team. Come on, don't wimp out on me. Kuretsuchi shouted in an annoyed tone. Look, I'd love to fight you, but I really need to head back to my group. Naruto said in an apologetic tone. Maybe we can spar some other time. With a wave, Naruto turned around and continued walking. The blonde shinobi didn't notice the grin spread across Kuretsuchi's face. Fine, I guess you're just not man enough to fight me. That comment stopped Naruto in his tracks. Only a little bitch would back out a challenge like that. Kuretsuchi's grin widened when she saw Naruto's fists clench. Got him now. You need to teach her a lesson. Kurama growled inside Naruto's head. Show her that you're not someone to be trifled with. I will, Naruto thought, spinning around with his Kyuubi chakra mode active. You wanted a fight. Well, you're gonna get one. Whoa, slow down there, buddy. Kuretsuchi shouted, as she pointed at Naruto. If we're gonna fight, you can't use the Kyuubi's chakra or your sage mode. That wouldn't be fair to be me. No, I want a fair fight. Normal jutsus and ninja tools only. Growl. Fine, we'll do this your way. Naruto said, his chakra cloak disappearing. The blonde quickly reached into tool pouch, and pulled out one of his Hiraishin kunai. I have to make this fast. I don't know how much longer the poison suppression pills I took earlier will last. What's with the weird coup? Kuretsuchi was cut off, as the kunai went sailing past her head. The dark-haired kunoichi briefly turned around to watch the kunai set off into the distance. Nice try, but you'll have to aim better than. Where the hell did her go? Kuretsuchi was surprised to see that the blonde shinobi was nowhere in sight when she turned back around. Rasengan. What the? Kuretsuchi exclaimed just as she dodged Naruto's surprise attack. The ground where Kuretsuchi had been standing exploded, as Naruto's Rasengan crashed into it. How the hell did you get behind me so quick? Kuretsuchi's eyes widened when she saw that Naruto was holding onto the kunai that had went flying past her head. Wait, no way. He knows how to use the Hiraishin. Shit, this isn't good. Not so cocky now, are ya? Naruto asked, smirking at Kuretsuchi. Okay, I'll admit you caught me off guard with that last attack. But now that I know you can use the Hiraishin, I can prepare for it. Kuretsuchi said, as she began to rapidly weave through hand seals. Yoden, Kaisakifu no Jutsu. Naruto's eyes widened when Kuretsuchi began to spew a large cloud of thick black ash from her mouth. Shit, I can't see anything, and this ash is binding my movements, so I can barely move. Naruto thought frantically, as he formed a quick hand seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Over a dozen Kage Bunshin poofed into existence around Naruto. I need to throw her off before she can launch a surprise attack. Pretty smart, using clones to confuse me. Naruto heard Kuretsuchi's voice echo out through the smoke. Suddenly 3 clones yelped, as they were pulled into the ground. She's below me, Naruto yelled, as he and his clones leapt into the air. I knew I could draw you out. Spinning around, Naruto saw that Kuretsuchi had re-emerged and was rapidly performing hand seals. Yoden, Sekaigyo no Jutsu. Thick gray acid shot from Kuretsuchi's mouth, and covered all of Naruto's Kage Bunshin. Now, let's get rid of these annoying clones. Suiten, Mizoripa. A large stream of water fired from Kuretsuchi's mouth, washing over the acid-covered Kage Bunshin. Naruto watched as the acid hardened, completely encasing his clones. When the trapped clones crashed into the ground, they exploded into tiny fragments. Looks like it's just you and me now. Bring it, Naruto roared, pulling out a normal kuni and charging towards Kuretsuchi. This is more like it. Show me what you got. Kuretsuchi cheered, as she pulled out her own kunai and raced towards Naruto. Both shinobi clashed together, their kunai sparking as they collided. Using his superior strength, Naruto began to push Kuretsuchi back. Not willing to give up, Kuretsuchi hit Naruto with strong left hook. The blonde shinobi was momentarily caught off guard by the surprise punch, and was sent stumbling back. When Naruto recovered from the punch, he saw Kuretsuchi racing towards him at an incredible speed. Damn, she's fast, Naruto thought, rolling away from Kuretsuchi's horizontal slash. Recovering from his roll, Naruto quickly slapped Kuretsuchi on the back before he retreated to a safe distance. The blonde Jinchuriki smirked, as he watched his Hiraishin seal spread across Kuretsuchi's back. Time to finish this. Why didn't you attack? He's gone again, Kuretsuchi said, as she quickly began to scan the area. I didn't see him throw one of those kunai. I didn't need to throw one. Kuretsuchi nearly jumped out of her skin when she felt a kunai press against her neck. Turning her head, the dark-haired kunoichi saw Naruto grinning behind her. I placed one of my Hiraishin seals on your back. So that's why you slapped me, Kuretsuchi said in an annoyed tone. Damn it, I thought I had you for a minute. Well, there's nowhere for you to go. So I suggest you yield now, Naruto said, pressing the kunai slightly harder against Kuretsuchi's neck. It was fun, but it's time to end this. But I'm not finished yet, Kuretsuchi said cryptically, causing Naruto to quirk an eyebrow. However, Naruto's eyes widened when Kuretsuchi collapsed into a pile of dirt and mud. That was a clone, Naruto exclaimed in a slightly surprised tone, just before he sensed someone rapidly approaching from behind. This girl is pretty good. I'm really starting to enjoy myself. It's been a long time since I've been able to really let loose. Plus I can tell that she's having a great time too. I think I'll have some fun with her. Naruto quickly spun around, surprising the dark-haired kunoichi. Kuretsuchi's eyes widened when Naruto grabbed her extended fist, stopping her punch dead in its tracks. Seeing the blonde shinobi smirking at her, caused anger to boil in Kuretsuchi. With a growl, Kuretsuchi tried to kick Naruto. But the blonde shinobi stopped her with his other free hand. Got you now. It was Kuretsuchi's turn to grin, as she reached into her kunai pouch. Using her one free hand, Kuretsuchi slashed her kunai at Naruto. But Kuretsuchi's eyes widened when Naruto burst into a cloud of smoke. The dark-haired kunoichi was panting slightly, as she took another fighting stance. TCH, this guy and his fucking clones. Come on, my clones are awesome. Spinning around, Kuretsuchi saw Naruto standing behind her. The blonde shinobi had a smile on his face, as he stuck his hands in his pockets. But I think this fight is over with. Like hell it is, Kuretsuchi shouted, throwing her kunai at Naruto. However, she wasn't prepared for the blonde to completely disappear once again. Shit, he used that damn Hiraishin again. Kuretsuchi yelped in surprise when she felt a pair of strong arms snake around her waist. When did he? Look at your arm. Kuretsuchi blushed brightly when she felt Naruto's hot breath on her ear, but she did as she was told. She wasn't surprised to see a seal spread across her forearm. Sai, you win, Kuretsuchi said in a defeated tone. The dark-haired kunoichi could still keep fighting, but she didn't really want to anymore. Naruto's hot breath on her neck was sending chills down her spine, and his arms wrapped around her waist made her feel so safe and secure. Before Kuretsuchi knew it, she was unconsciously moving closer towards the blonde. Good, Naruto whispered hotly, before placed several kisses along Kuretsuchi's neck. The dark-haired kunoichi moaned lightly, as Naruto's kisses caused her whole body to tingle. How turned on are you right now? What? Kuretsuchi asked in an embarrassed tone. Her face was now near fluorescent red. I said, how turned on are you? Naruto asked, as he spun Kuretsuchi around in his arms. Kuretsuchi's breath hitched when she stared into Naruto's lust-filled blue eyes. Her heart began to beat rapidly, as she felt her panties dampen slightly. Their fight had gotten Kuretsuchi all worked up, and she couldn't deny that Naruto was very attractive. She held back her lust any longer, she wanted Naruto Uzumaki now. Kami, I want you now, Kuretsuchi said in a husky tone, lunging forward and capturing Naruto's lips. Her arms immediately wrapped around Naruto's neck, so that she could deepen their kiss. Kuretsuchi moaned when she felt Naruto's tongue snake its way into her mouth. They remained lip-cocked for a few more moments, before they eventually broke for air. Both shinobi were out of breath from their passionate kiss, and Kuretsuchi's eyes were half-lidded with lust. Naruto smirked when he felt Kuretsuchi begin to grind against his thigh. "So should we take this back to your place?" Naruto asked in a lust-filled tone. "My house is only few minutes away. Now move your ass, I need you now," Kuretsuchi commanded, as she grabbed Naruto's hand and began to drag him towards her home. 5 minutes later, Kuretsuchi's apartment. The door to Kuretsuchi's apartment was roughly kicked open, as Naruto and Kuretsuchi burst into the kunoichi's home. Both shinobi were engaged in a fierce and passionate lip-lock, their tongues battling for dominance, while they shuffled through the open door. Using her foot, Kuretsuchi closed the door behind them as they proceeded further into her home. Kuretsuchi grunted slightly when her back hit the wall behind her. Now pinned, the kunoichi could do little as Naruto ravaged her mouth with his tongue. Kuretsuchi moaned into the kiss when she felt Naruto's strong hands snake down and give her ass a quick squeeze. Someone's eager," Kuretsuchi said in a teasing tone, her pink pupilless eyes half-lidded in lust. The Iwa kunoichi smiled, as she ran her fingers through Naruto's messy long blonde hair. "No man has ever gotten me this worked up before. Well, I've had lots of practice," Naruto said, placing several butterfly kisses along Kuretsuchi's neck. The dark-haired girl let out a low moan when Naruto began to suck on her pulse. As Naruto continued to lavish Kuretsuchi's neck, his hands drifted upwards and cupped her budding breasts. Just like Sakura and Fu, Kuretsuchi's boobs weren't massive but they fit her petite and athletic body perfectly. Naruto smirked when Kuretsuchi released a series of moans, as he continued to gently massage her breasts. "So I've heard," Kuretsuchi struggled to say, as she squirmed slightly from Naruto's pleasurable touch. "Our rumor has it that you've claimed a girl from each of the major shinobi villages. All except Iwa. But I hope to change that very soon," Naruto whispered, causing a shiver to run down Kuretsuchi's spine. "I just can't help myself around beautiful girls like you. Baka," Kuretsuchi said in a low tone, as grabbed Naruto's collar and pulled him closer. "Just shut up and kiss me." "My pleasure," Naruto said, leaning in for another passionate kiss. As the two shinobi locked lips, Kuretsuchi slipped her hands up and began to unzip Naruto's orange jacket. Once the jacket was unzipped, Naruto quickly tossed across the room. Kuretsuchi inwardly moaned when she saw that Naruto was wearing a mesh undershirt, instead of his usual black one. The Iwa kunoichi grabbed the mesh shirt and practically tore it off Naruto's body. Just when Kuretsuchi was about to touch Naruto's toned chest, he quickly reached out and grabbed her wrist. Hey, let me touch, you bastard," Kuretsuchi whined, as she tried to pry her wrist from Naruto's grasp. Naruto chastised with a mischievous smirk. "It's not fair that I'm the only one showing any skin right now. Lose the top and I'll let you cop a feel." "Isn't the girl supposed to say something like that?" Kuretsuchi asked rhetorically, releasing an annoyed huff. The dark-haired kunoichi unzipped her brown Jonin vest, and tossed it somewhere near Naruto's jacket. Next, Kuretsuchi pulled off her red undershirt and black gloves. Naruto quirked a blonde eyebrow when he saw that Kuretsuchi was wearing a simple black sports bra. Noticing that Naruto was staring at her bra, Kuretsuchi lightly glared at the blonde Jinchuriki. "What? Were you expecting frills and lace?" "Sorry buddy, but I'm an active-duty kunoichi, so I don't have time for girly things like that." "No, I wasn't expecting anything like that. I just noticed how well that suits you." Now it was Kuretsuchi's turn to quirk an eyebrow. "You're right. You're definitely not a girly girl, and that's one of the things I like about you." Kuretsuchi groaned lightly when Naruto wrapped a hand around her waist and pulled her close to his body. "You don't mind getting down and dirty, and you don't take shit from anybody. You showed me that when we fought earlier." In fact, Kuretsuchi squeaked in surprise as Naruto captured her lips in a possessive kiss. "You remind me a lot of my Sakura-chan, and I love strong, independent women like her." Kurosaki Lemon scene. The next morning, 9:30 a.m. "I hope Kuretsuchi isn't doing anything today," Onoki said to himself, as he floated up the steps towards his granddaughter's apartment. "It's been so long since we've spent any quality time together. I even managed to get rid of Akatsuchi for the day, so it will be just us." Reaching Kuretsuchi's front door, Onoki gave a few soft knocks. I hope she doesn't mind spending the day with her grandfather. The Tsuchikage floated in front of the door for almost a full minute without a reply. After knocking and receiving no reply again, Onoki tried opening the door. He was surprised to find that the door was unlocked. That girl, I've told her to lock this door 100 times. However, as the Tsuchikage wandered through his granddaughter's home, he spotted a strange-looking jacket on the floor. Picking up the orange and black jacket, Onoki quickly realized that it was Naruto's. That boy must have stopped by last night and forgot his jacket here. But what a slob to just leave this lying on the floor. Akatsuchi mentioned that Kuretsuchi wanted to meet him. Maybe she ran into him and invited him over, so that she could speak with him. When Onoki went to hang the jacket up, he noticed something else out of place. Strange, the boy's sandals are here as well. Did he stay the night? Moving deeper into the apartment, Onoki got a bad feeling in the pit of his stomach as he spotted more clothes littering the floor. The part that worried him the most was that some of the clothing belonged to his granddaughter. Reaching the door to Kuretsuchi's room, Onoki slowly pushed the door open. What he saw immediately filled him with intense fury. Fast asleep in his granddaughter's bed was Naruto Uzumaki. Snuggling close to Naruto was Kuretsuchi, whose head was lying on the blonde shinobi's chest. From the clothes scattered across the room, Onoki could tell that both shinobi were naked underneath the covers. Uzumaki. Naruto exclaimed, shooting upright in the bed. The blonde Jinchuriki immediately locked eyes with the elderly Tsuchikage across from him. Tsuchikage Jiji. Naruto quickly rubbed his eyes to make sure he wasn't seeing things. What are you doing here? I should be asking you the same question. Onoki replied, as he angrily grit his teeth. Care to explain why you're naked in my granddaughter's room? Granddaughter. Naruto stuttered out, casting a glance at the now awake Kuretsuchi. A cold chill ran down his spine, as he locked eyes with the kunoichi. Oh fuck me, Grandpa, Kuretsuchi said, rubbing the sleep out of her eyes. What are you doing in my room? You come into my village. Onoki said, focusing solely on Naruto. And defile my granddaughter in her own bed. Wait, I can explain. Naruto shouted, as he frantically waved his arms defensively. Fuck. I oughta kill you now for taking my granddaughter's purity. Onoki said, gathering a large amount of chakra in between his palms. Naruto's eyes bulged when he saw a bright white sphere of energy form between the Tsuchikage's hands. I had a great time last night, Kuretsuchi. But I have to go. Naruto yelled, as he placed a quick kiss on Kuretsuchi's cheek before he used his Hiraishin to teleport away. That bastard, Onoki exclaimed, canceling the jutsu he was about to cast. I'll hunt him down, and castrate him. Hold up Grandpa, Kuretsuchi yelled, as she grabbed Onoki's shoulder. Luckily the kunoichi was throw on a shirt and panties, so that she wasn't completely nude. You'll leave Naruto alone. I will do no such thing. Onoki shouted, turning to face his granddaughter. That boy defiled. He didn't defile me, Kuretsuchi exclaimed, as she released an annoyed huff. Taking a calming breath, the kunoichi spoke once again. I wanted to sleep with Naruto. What? Onoki screamed, his eyes widening in shock. Why would you want to do that? Especially with someone like him. Hey, Naruto's a great guy, Kuretsuchi said, taking offense on Naruto's behalf. He's smart, funny, sweet, caring, and I could go on and on. Kuretsuchi's cheeks suddenly burned red in embarrassment and she turned her head away from her grandfather's piercing gaze. I just really like him, okay. I kinda got a crush on him during the war, and he was the guy the first wanted to lose my virginity to. Seeing her grandfather's eyes soften slightly, Kuretsuchi decided to continue. Listen Grandpa, I know you're just looking out for me, but I'm not a little girl anymore. I'm an adult now and I'm a kunoichi on top of that. You need to let me make my own decisions, and respect the decisions that I do make. Please, I wouldn't let Naruto sleep with me if I thought he was a bad guy. You're right, Onoki admitted, his anger deflating completely. You are a woman now, and I can't stop you from have relations with a man you like. Thank you Grandpa, Kuretsuchi said with a smile, as she hugged the elderly Tsuchikage. There's no need to thank me. I'll forgive Naruto for what he did, but I will be keeping an eye on you too, because as much as I want great grandchildren, you're much too young to be pregnant. Onoki said, causing Kuretsuchi's face to burn an even darker shade of red. Chuckling slightly at his granddaughter's embarrassment, Onoki made his way out of her apartment. And remember to lock this damn door. Same time, other side of the village. Sakura was sound asleep in her room, having a wonderful dream of her future life with Naruto and the other girls. The Pinket's dream was suddenly cut short when she heard a soft pop, and felt something land on the bed next to her. Sighing, Sakura turned over in the bed to see Naruto grinning nervously at her. "Naruto, why the hell are you naked?" Sakura asked, as she sat up in the bed. Naruto just released a nervous chuckle, which made Sakura groan in annoyance. "Oh Kami, what did you do now, you baka?" "Well, I kinda slept with the Tsuchikage Jiji's granddaughter, and he may be super pissed at me," Naruto explained, rubbing the back of his head in embarrassment. "Why am I not surprised?" Sakura said in deadpan tone, as she ran her hand down her face. "Kami Naruto, it's only 9:35 in the morning and you're already in trouble. Can't you keep that thing in your pants for 5 minutes? Hey, I can't help it if a beautiful girl wants to sleep with me," Naruto said, causing Sakura to roll her eyes. "Oh, it sounds tragic. Any man would hate to have that problem," Sakura said sarcastically, as she got back under the covers. "Geez, you've nearly caused a disaster in every village we've been to." "Don't worry, Kuretsuchi-chan is probably sorting things out with Tsuchikage Jiji right now," Naruto said, relaxing slightly in Sakura's comfortable bed. "Well, you're still alive, so I guess that's a good sign. I have some of your spare clothes in that back over there. You can throw those on when you leave," Sakura said, as she patted the bed next to her. "Now shut up you baka, I want to cuddle." "Anything for you Sakura-chan," Naruto said with a smile, crawling under the sheets next to Sakura and tightly wrapping his arms around her. "So warm," Sakura thought, as she moved closer to Naruto and listened to the steady beat of his heart. 2 hours later. "Excuse me," Naruto said, as he walked up to an Iwa shinobi. "Do you know where I could find Roshi at? I think I saw him heading towards training ground 45. The Iwa shinobi said, gesturing to a large rock outcropping. "It's located on the other side of the village, you can't miss it." "Thanks man," Naruto exclaimed, as he took off sprinting in the direction of training ground 45. After 5 minutes of running, Naruto arrived at the training grounds Roshi was supposed to be at. However, as Naruto walked into the training grounds, he didn't hear the sounds of training or any physical activity. But as Naruto walked deep into the grounds, he sensed a chakra signature. The blonde shinobi quickly followed the chakra signature, and found exactly who he was looking for. Roshi sat on the ground just in front of Naruto, and appeared to be meditating. The red-haired man looked very similar to when Naruto last saw, except this time he was wearing a standard Iwa shinobi uniform. Deciding not to disturb the meditating man, Naruto quietly took a seat next to Roshi and began to meditate himself. Both shinobi sat still in perfect silence, the only sound was the wind that gently blew past them. "I was wondering when you'd show up," Roshi finally said, breaking the silence that had fallen over them. "I'd heard rumors that you were visiting all the Jinchuriki, so I figured it was a matter of time before you ended up here. I guess I should be thanking you for giving me another chance at life." "There's no need to thank me, I was just doing what was right. We Jinchuriki have lived rough lives, so I figured it was only right that we all get a second chance in a world that will now accept us," Naruto explained, as he slowly opened his eyes. "So, I see that you decided to rejoin Iwa's shinobi forces. Well, it was either return home, or wander around the countryside and find a new place to settle down in," Roshi said, crossing his arms over his chest as he stared up at the clear sky overhead. "I might be getting old, but being a shinobi is what I'm best at. Hell, these young kids need a veteran like me to whip them into shape. Hopefully I can pass down some knowledge to this new generation of shinobi, and they can learn from my generation's mistakes." Roshi closed his eyes again, and released a light sigh. "I hear that the Tsuchikage's granddaughter knows how to use Yoden Jutsu, maybe I can teach her some of my moves. I bet Kuretsuchi-chan would like that," Naruto said with a small smile. "She's a strong girl, and I'd bet she'd love to learn from someone as experienced as you." "Ah, so you know the Tsuchikage's granddaughter. Anyways, I'm glad to hear that she might want to learn a few things from me." Maybe I'll speak with her later today, Roshi said, as he turned to face Naruto. So, why exactly are you here? The rumors I've heard never really specified why you were visiting all of the Jinchuriki. Well, I've been searching for the revived Jinchuriki and seeing if they'd want their Biju released within them. Naruto replied, causing Roshi's eyes to slowly widen in shock. I've already spoken with Gaara, Fu, Yugito, Utakata, and Yagura. All of them agreed to have their Biju resealed within them. They're all reunited, and I think all of them are glad to be back with their Biju. So, you can reunite me with Son Goku? Roshi asked, earning a nod from Naruto. I'm glad to hear that, because Son Goku and I had finally made our peace when we were separated. He even told me his real name. Roshi placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder, and locked eyes with the blonde shinobi. You don't have to try and convince me, Naruto, I want Son Goku back. We may not have had the best relationship during our time together. But in the end we managed to understand each other, and I want the chance to finally know Son Goku better. To show him that I did care about him all those years he was sealed within me. I'm glad to hear that, Roshi. I'll have Kurama contact Son Goku soon. You should be reunited with him soon, Naruto said with a large smile. However, there is one other thing I wanted to ask you. Ask anything, my friend, Roshi said, as he once again locked eyes with Naruto. Do you have any idea where Han might be? Naruto asked, causing Roshi to quirk an eyebrow. The Tsuchikage told me he hasn't returned to the village yet, and I want to see if he's alright and possibly try to bring him back to the village. I'm sorry, Naruto, but I haven't seen or heard anything about Han. Roshi replied in an apologetic tone. Damn it, that's gonna making finding him a little harder, Naruto said, as he released a light sigh. The blonde shinobi patted Roshi on the shoulder, and stood back onto his feet. Well, thank you for your time, Roshi. Like I said, I'll have Kurama contact Son Goku right away. I better get moving if I want to find Han before the end of the day. He can't be too far away from the village. Wait, Roshi called out, stopping Naruto in his tracks. I'll help you find Han. Are you sure, Roshi? You don't have to do that, Naruto said, as he turned to face Roshi. No, I want to help you. You're helping reunite me with Son Goku, it's the least I can do, Roshi said, standing up onto his feet and walking up to Naruto. Plus Han is a fellow Iwa shinobi, so I want to make sure he's okay. Alright, thanks for the assistance then. Let's get going, Naruto cheered with a large fox-like grin. However, Roshi was surprised when Naruto immediately dropped to the ground, and entered a meditative position. What are you doing, Naruto? I thought you said wanted to find Han quickly, not sit around, Roshi asked, scratching the side of his head in confusion. I'm entering sage mode, Naruto explained, as he released a steadying breath. The blonde Jinchuriki remained motionless for about a minute, until an orange ring formed around his eyes. When Naruto reopened his eyes, Roshi was surprised to see that Naruto's eyes were now orange with rectangular pupils. While in sage mode, I can easily detect chakra signatures over great distances. Just give me a moment, and I should be able to pick out Han's if he's not too far away. Naruto once again closed his eyes, and focused his mind on sifting through the chakra signatures he was picking up. After about 10 seconds, Naruto's eyes snapped open and he jumped to his feet. I got him. Well, let's get after him then, Roshi said, rolling his shoulders. Think you can keep up with me, old man? Naruto teased with a large smirk. Because I don't intend to slow down, so catch up with me. I may be old, but I can still keep up with you kids, Roshi said with a small smile, as he stretched his legs. I'll be on your tail the whole time. We'll see about that, Naruto said, moments before he took off sprinting towards Han's chakra signature. 15 minutes later, mountains surrounding Iwa. Pant Kami, I'm ready for you to take me now, Roshi panted out, as he collapsed to the ground behind Naruto. The older shinobi was covered in sweat, and looked as if he would pass out at any moment. Pant shit, Naruto, pant did you have to go so fucking fast? I thought you said you could keep up, Naruto asked, handing Roshi a canteen of water. The Iwa shinobi snatched the water, and began to guzzle it down. Naruto smirked as he knelt down next to Roshi. Looks like old age is really catching up with you. Shut up, Roshi exclaimed, as he wiped the excess water from his mouth and beard. I'm almost triple your age, so cut me some slack. Huh, all I see is a grouchy old man who's pissed that he got beat by a kid. Naruto teased, deciding to push a few of Roshi's buttons. Watch it, kid, Roshi warned in an increasingly agitated tone. Keep this up, and I'll whoop your smart ass all the way back to Iowa. Is that so? Naruto continued his teasing by patting Roshi on the head as if he were a child. I'd like to see that Gigi. That's it, you little bastard. Roshi shouted, grabbing the front of Naruto's jacket. You asked for this. Roshi reared his fist back, and punched Naruto square in the fist. But as soon as his fist made contact, Naruto burst into a cloud of smoke. Come on Roshi, it was only a joke. Roshi's head snapped up to see Naruto sitting on top of a large rock. The blonde shinobi had a large grin on his face. Now calm down, Han is in a clearing just up ahead. You probably gave us away with all that yelling you were doing. Naruto hopped down next to Roshi, and helped the man to his feet. Let's get to it. This isn't over, Naruto. Roshi grumbled to himself, as he followed after the blonde Jinchuriki. After walking through a narrow passage, Naruto and Roshi found themselves in a large natural clearing that was filled with large boulders. Both shinobi quickly spotted Han in the middle of the massive rocks. The large man easily stuck out amongst his surroundings. Naruto and Roshi watched as Han stood motionless in front of one of the boulders. What's he? Roshi was cut off when steam erupted from Han's armor, and his fist suddenly crashed into the boulder, smashing it into hundreds of pieces. Holy shit. Damn, he's strong, Naruto said, watching Han destroy another boulder with his bare fists. Well, we better go talk to him. Naruto figured that Han already knew that they were there, so he didn't bother masking his presence. However, Han didn't actually know that Naruto and Roshi were approaching. So Naruto was taken completely off guard when Han suddenly took a powerful swing at him. What the hell, Han? Naruto quickly backed away from Han, his heart rapidly beating in his chest. Oh, it's you, Naruto, Han said, as he dropped his defensive stance. I thought you were an enemy. You should have made your presence known earlier. I thought you knew we were here already. Naruto yelled, trying to calm his pounding heart. Damn, I would be a bloody pulp right now if that punch would have hit me. Then I guess it's a good thing you have fast reflexes, Han said, earning him an annoyed glare from Naruto. Why are you here anyways, Naruto? Naruto, are you okay? Roshi shouted, as he ran up to the blonde. I heard you scream, so I thought something may have happened. Roshi, Han questioned, surprised to see the older Jinchuriki. You're here as well. Hey Han, yeah, I'm here with Naruto, Roshi said, placing his hands on his hips. The elder Jinchuriki let out a low whistle, as he observed the boulder debris littering the clearing. Looks like you're as strong as ever. Well, I must keep my strength at its physical peak, Han said, as he rolled his shoulders. Now you never mentioned why the two of you are here. We came here to talk with you, Naruto explained, walking up to Han. The large man quirked an eyebrow as he gazed down at Naruto. We want you to come back to Iowa. I had a feeling that was the reason you two were here, Han said, as he crossed his arms over his broad chest. I just don't if I'm ready to return to Iowa yet. Don't get me wrong, I do wish to return at some point. I am still an Iowa shinobi after all. But there are so many painful memories. I was neglected and loathed by my village for so long, I just don't know if I'm ready to face them all again. Han, Naruto said in a reassuring tone. The villagers are ready to accept you and all the other Jinchuriki. I've seen it in the villages I've visited. They all regret the way they've treated us over the years, and they wish to make amends. But it's our job to show them that we should be respected and trusted. Roshi here has already rejoined Iowa's shinobi forces, and most of the shinobi are actually happy to see him return. I was actually gonna have Naruto place his hand on Han's shoulder. But I looked it up and Han is actually 228.3 centimeters or 7 feet 5 inches tall. While Naruto is only 166 cm or 5 feet 4 inches tall. So unless Naruto sat on Roshi's shoulders, there was no way he could have done that XD. Is what he is saying true? Han asked, aiming the question at Roshi. Because I do not want to return to the village and be shunned by everyone again. What he says is true, Han, Roshi replied, as he smiled up at the larger man. Aiwa welcomed me back with open arms. The Tsuchikage even seemed happy to see me return home. If what you are saying is true, then I suppose I can come back to Aiwa with you both. Han said, causing a smile to spread across Naruto's face. But if you're lying, I will not hesitate to leave again. Now, was there anything else you wished to discuss before we depart? Actually, there is one more thing I wanted to tell you. Naruto said, locking eyes with Han again. Kokuo wants to be sealed back inside you. So Kokuo wants to be sealed within me again? Han asked, as he placed a hand over his stomach, where his seal used to be. Kokuo and I were never really close. He was always very quiet and reserved, but he was always there for me when times were hardest. He always understood my pain. We may not have been friends, like you and Kurama are, but we never had any bad blood between us. So, of course I'd like to have him back. I'd like to actually become friends with him, just you and Kurama. I'm glad to hear that, and I bet Kokuo will be too. Kurama will get in contact with Kokuo right away. Naruto said, earning a nod from Han. Let me gather my belongings, and we can head back to Aiwa. I look forward to returning home after all this time. Han said, as he turned to gather his pack. Oi Kurama, did you catch all that? Naruto asked the Biju. Yes, I overheard everything. I've already spoken with Son Goku, and he should arrive in Aiwa in less than 2 days. I'm trying to contact Kokuo right now, I'll let you know once I've spoken with him. Kurama replied, as he tried to speak with Kokuo. Well, that went rather well. Roshi said, walking up next to Naruto. I knew that Han wouldn't be a problem. He may look big and scary, but I can tell he's a very kind and caring man. Naruto said with a small smile, just as Han finished packing his belongings. Alright, I'm ready to go. Han said, slinging his pack over his shoulder. Then let's hit the road. Naruto said, as he started off in the direction of Aiwa, with Roshi and Han following closely behind him. Deciding on a more leisurely pace, after much begging from Roshi, the trio arrived at Aiwa's gates in a little under an hour. However, as the group neared the village, they were surprised to see a lone figure waiting for them. Han's eyes slowly widened as the Tsuchikage came into view. I heard you might be coming back, Han, so I wanted to be here to greet you myself. Onoki said with a large smile on his face. Welcome home, Han. Thank you, Tsuchikage-sama. Han said, bowing before the Tsuchikage. A single tear rolled down Han's cheek, as a hidden smile spread across his face. It's good to finally be back home. 3 days later, Iwagakure's gates. So it's time for your group to leave? Onoki asked, as he watched Naruto's group gather the last of their supplies. Minus the incident with my granddaughter, I must admit that I rather enjoyed your company, Naruto. And I think I speak for the whole village when I say we're sad to see you go. I know Akatsuchi sure got a kick out of talking with you. Well, I can always come and visit. Naruto said with his usual fox-like grin. When I become Hokage, I'll be sure to visit often. You better. You still owe me a real fight. Roshi exclaimed, as he heavily leaned against a cane. Man, you're still upset over that. If you want a fight so bad, you'll get one eventually. Naruto said, smiling at Roshi who was standing next to Han. So how are you two doing? Ah, I've been through worse. Roshi said in a tired tone. I've just been so exhausted since they resealed Son Goku within me. It was a struggle to walk all the way here. I'm fine, Han said, looking no worse for wear. The massive man appeared to be perfectly fine. I don't know what Roshi is complaining about, because I feel completely fine. It's because you're built like a fucking tank. Roshi exclaimed, slightly glaring up at Han. The large man simply shrugged his shoulders in response. Well, I'm glad to see you're both recovering. Naruto said, before he turned his attention to Kuretsuchi. Are you sure you don't want to come with us, Kuretsuchi-chan? Yeah, someone needs to stay here and look after my grandfather. Kuretsuchi replied with a smile, as she placed a light kiss on Naruto's cheek. Then take this, Naruto said, pulling out one of his Hiraishin kunai. If you ever want to see me, I can be at your side in the blink of an eye. I won't be needing that, Kuretsuchi said, as she pushed the kunai back towards Naruto. Because like you, I'm aiming to become Tsuchikage after my grandfather retires. When that happens, I'll be sure to visit Konoha often on missions of good faith. So that we can strengthen the relationship between our two villages. I like the sound of that. Naruto said with a lustful glint in his eyes. Alright, that's enough eye humping. Let's get going, Sakura exclaimed, as she grabbed Naruto by the ear. I want to get home soon. Sakura turned to Tsuchikage and bowed. Thank you very much for your time and hospitality. Bye Kurotsuchi-chan, Tsuchikage Jiji, Roshi, Han. Naruto called out, continuing to be dragged by Sakura. I'll be sure to stop by sometime. 15 minutes later, road leading out of Iwagakure. So do we have any more stops, Naruto-kun? Ino asked from the back of the group. Yeah, any more stops to bang priestesses? Enko asked in a teasing tone, casting a knowing look over at Sakura. The pinkett simply blushed, and glared over at Enko. Kami no, I just want to head home. Choji whined, his voice laden with exhaustion. Nope, we have no more stops. Our mission is officially complete, so we can head home now. Naruto said with a large smile. I wonder how much the village has changed since we left. 1 week later, 2:30 p.m. Forest half-mile due north of Konoha. Are we almost there? Enko whined from her position atop Naruto's back. The kunoichi had previously been complaining about her sore feet, so Naruto had offered to carry her. This quickly earned Enko several glares from the other girls. Enko grinned and playfully stuck her tongue out as she climbed on Naruto's back. However, Naruto didn't miss the annoyed looks his girls shot at Enko. After releasing a light sigh, Naruto had quickly formed a hand seal, causing several Kage Bunshin to appear. All of the girls smiled brightly as they allowed Naruto and his clones to carry them. We've been walking for hours. More like I've been carrying you for hours. Naruto muttered underneath his breath. Seconds later Naruto yelped when he felt Enko pull hard on his ear. What was that Gaki? Enko asked darkly, as she leaned down to whisper into Naruto's ear. Are you seriously complaining about carrying the women that, you, got pregnant? No. Of course not, Enko-chan. Naruto stammered out, forcing a weak smile onto his face. I'm happy to carry my girls when they're tired. That's what I thought, Enko said, as she patted Naruto on the head. Turning around, Enko called out to Shisui, who was currently near the back of the group. Oi, magic eyes. You've got the map, so are we getting close or what? I have a name, Shisui thought, his left eye twitching ever so slightly in annoyance. Grumbling to himself, Shisui unfolded the map and quickly scanned over it. At our current pace we should be back in Konoha in about 10 minutes. Thank Kami, Choji exclaimed, as he breathed a sigh of relief. I've been dying to get back home. I have so much I want to tell Shikamaru and Asuma-sensei. You just want to tell them that you have a girlfriend now. Ino teased, causing Choji's face to flush red in embarrassment. I just want to get back and see how Itachi and Obito are doing. Shisui said, as he put the map back into his pack. It's been months since I last saw them, and I want to see how the new police force is coming along. I too would like to see how the police force is doing. Sai said, which caused Naruto to quirk an eyebrow. You thinking about becoming a cop, Sai? The real? Naruto asked, as he walked up next to his pale teammate. No, well not yet at least. Sai replied, shaking his head. Maybe when I'm a little older. But for right now I still want to be a shinobi. That's great to hear, Naruto said, as he patted Sai on the back. Because when I'm Hokage I'm gonna need capable shinobi like you. Thanks, Naruto, Sai said with a genuine smile on his face. You're a member of Team 7, Sai. Don't ever forget that, Sakura said, as she hopped off the clone's back and placed a hand on Sai's shoulder. Naruto and I will be there whenever you need us. Yeah, Team 7 is a like family, and we always stick together. Naruto cheered with a large fox-like grin. However, no one noticed the brief look of sadness that flashed in Naruto's eyes. All except one, stupid Tem. Damn it, you were supposed to be my brother. Why'd you have to go and do something so despicable? I could handle you hurting me, but I can never forgive you for hurting Sakura-chan. You okay, Naruto? Sai asked, noticing that the blonde Jinchuriki was hanging his head. Of course, Naruto quickly yelled, as he flashed Sai a bright smile. I'm just a little tired. Can't wait to get back home and get some rest. He must have been thinking about Sasuke again. Sai thought, deciding to drop the subject for now. Well, you won't have to wait much longer, because we're here. Shisui said, just as the village gates come into view. Welcome back to Konoha everyone. Finally, Choji exclaimed, releasing a large sigh of relief. Hey guys, look, Tenten exclaimed, as she pointed at the Hokage monument. Well, would you look at that? Naruto said with a grin, the group continuing their short walk to the village's gates. Looks like they already put Kakashi-sensei's face up there. The blonde Jinchuriki felt a rush of determination as he stared at his father and sensei's faces etched into the stone. Soon my face is gonna be up there as well, TT Ibeo. Well, look who's finally returned home. A familiar voice caught the attention of Naruto's group. Naruto turned to see Izumo and Katetsu waving his group over. It's been a while, Naruto. How have you all been? Katetsu asked with a grin, as Naruto's team walked over. We've been great. Naruto replied with his signature grin. The mission went out without a hitch. A sudden elbow from Sakura caused Naruto to nervously chuckle. Haha, let's just say the mission went well. It was then that Naruto noticed that Izumo and Katetsu weren't wearing their standard Konoha shinobi attire. Instead, their normal green flak jackets were replaced with dark blue ones. Both of them also sported a small golden Konoha leaf badge that was pinned to their flak jackets. What's with the new outfits, guys? Oh, these? Izumo asked, looking down at his new attire. Me and Katetsu joined the police force. Itachi convinced us to give it a try. Yeah, it's been pretty good so far. Katetsu said, as he inspected the badge on his chest. It's not as exciting as being a shinobi, but it makes me feel good being able to help the civilians within the village. Plus, now that we have a police force again, we don't have to let shinobi waste their time dealing with common criminals. So you two are done being shinobi? Tenten asked with a small frown. Who said that? Katetsu replied with a grin. Hokage-sama, Kami, it still feels weird to call Kakashi that. Well, Kakashi said we could rejoin the shinobi ranks whenever we wanted. And if he ever needed us, he'd enlist us back into the normal shinobi ranks. Speaking of Kakashi, you all better go see him. I'll bet he'll be eager to hear your mission report. Izumo said, as he gestured to the Hokage Tower. He's actually been expecting your arrival for the past few days now, so better not keep him waiting any longer. Thanks for the head up. Naruto said, turning to face the rest of his group. Well, I'm going to turn in the mission report, the rest of you are free to do whatever you want. I suggest you all get some much needed R&R. I'm gonna go check up on Itachi and Obito. Shisui said, as he jumped onto a nearby rooftop. I shall accompany you. Sai called out, following behind Shisui. I'm going home to take a nap. Choji said, as he waved to the group before walking off. You girls should head home too, I bet your parents would love to see you all. Naruto said, earning nods from most of his girls. Konan-chan, Ryuzetsu-chan, you two take Tamari-chan over to my place. When I'm done speaking with Kakashi-sensei, we'll find a place for you to stay, Tamari-chan. Because it's starting to get a little crowded in my apartment. Another large grin spread across Naruto's face. Well, great work, girls. You all did great on this mission, and I'm proud of you. We'll have to all go out later and celebrate. Moments later, Naruto was gone, making his way towards the Hokage Tower. 10 minutes later, Hokage Tower. This place is pretty quiet today. Naruto said to himself, as he walked through the Hokage Tower's halls. When the blonde Jinchuriki had walked into the tower, he was surprised to see that there was only a handful of people working. The tower was usually bustling with activity, and people rushing to complete various jobs. As Naruto walked through the building, most of the people working noticed him, and expressed their joy at his return. I guess things have started to calm down since we're now in peacetime, and with our new strengthened relationships with the other shinobi villages, we don't have to worry about being attacked. When Naruto reached the door to Kakashi's office, he reached out and gently knocked. Immediately Naruto began to hear hushed whispers and the sounds rustling papers. The blonde quirked an eyebrow as he waited outside the room. Come in. Kakashi's voice rang out after a few more moments. When Naruto entered the office, he quickly spotted his sensei sitting behind his desk, with Shizune standing off to the side. After hearing the whispers from out in the hall, Naruto immediately began to scan around the room. Nothing on Kakashi's desk seemed out of order, and the Hokage himself seemed perfectly calm and collected. But that's not what really caught Naruto's attention. The blonde Jinchuriki's eyes soon landed upon Shizune. Naruto noticed that Shizune's hair was slightly disheveled, and looked as if she had tried to quickly fix it. Then he noticed that her clothes were ruffled. However, one thing stood out above everything else. On Shizune's neck, just above her collarbone, was a large hickey that she failed to hide. Looks like Kakashi-sensei has been busy, Naruto thought, as he slowly approached Kakashi's desk. Good for him. I'm glad Kakashi-sensei found a girl as nice as Shizune. Ah Naruto, you're finally back, Kakashi said with an eye smile. The silver-haired man gestured to a seat in front of his desk. So, where's the rest of your team? They're all off doing their own thing, Naruto replied, sinking into the comfy leather chair. I figured they all deserved a break. Well, after such a long mission, I'd imagine they're all very homesick, Kakashi said, as he clasped his hands on top of the desk. If you're ready Naruto, we can begin your mission report. Actually sensei, before we begin, can I ask you a question? Naruto asked, causing Kakashi to nod his head. Did Suigetsu ever come to the village to get Zabuza's sword? Oh yes, he dropped by the village about a week and a half ago, Kakashi replied, as he leaned back in his seat. I know he has great respect for that sword, so I was happy to give it to him. Plus the sword does rightfully belong to Kurigakure, wouldn't want to cause a problem between our villages over such a simple matter. So did you know if he meet up with Karen and Jugo while he was here? Naruto continued his questioning. Actually, how is Jugo? To answer your first question, Kakashi said, holding up one of his fingers. Yes, Suigetsu did find Karen and Jugo, and from what I hear they had a rather enjoyable time together before he left. They caused quite a ruckus at one of the bars, Suigetsu even got in a fight with Kiba. Don't ask me how, because I honestly don't know. Now on to your second question. Kakashi released a light sigh and closed his eyes. Since Otogakure was destroyed, Jugo has no place to go. I originally didn't feel comfortable keeping someone with his tendencies in the village. But Karen convinced me to let him stay. She's actually been doing a great job keeping his impulses under control. Since Jugo's been in the village he's only had one violent incident, even then no one was injured, just some minor property damage. Have we made any headway in finding who wiped out Oto? Naruto asked, leaning forward in his chair. Please tell me we have something. Anything. Sigh. I'm sorry Naruto, but we aren't any closer to finding the culprit, Kakashi replied, which caused Naruto to sink back into his seat, a sad look on his face. Whoever destroyed Otogakure covered their tracks extremely well. Even Kiba and Shino couldn't find any evidence. Kakashi sighed again as he pinched the bridge of his nose. All we have to go on is a unique wound one of the Oto shinobi had. He had been stabbed through the chest, but the strange thing was that the clothing and skin around the wound were singed. However, the burns were caused by electricity, not fire. Sensei, that sounds an awful like Chidori, Naruto said, as he suddenly felt sick to his stomach. And the only people who know Chidori are you and Sasuke. Do you think? I don't want to rule out any possibilities, Kakashi said, releasing a heavy sigh. But how can that be possible? I killed him with my own hands. I even have one of his fucking eyes for Kami's sake, Naruto exclaimed, as he ran his hands through his long blonde hair. It could be Edo Tensei, Shizune said, causing Naruto's eyes to widen. Oh, that's just fucking great, Naruto said, as he sunk even deeper into his chair. Just what the world needs, an immortal Sasuke who is insane and has unlimited chakra. Listen Naruto, we don't even know if it's really Sasuke yet, Kakashi said, trying his best to calm his student. Until we have solid evidence identifying who or what wiped out Oto, you can just sit back and relax. And if it is somehow Sasuke, we'll make sure he does nothing to your girls and children, we'll stop him for sure. Kakashi's words seemed to do the trick, because Naruto seemed to relax slightly. Now, why don't we move on and go over your mission report? Sure sensei, I've got it right here, Naruto said, as he began to dig through his pack. 1 hour later. Well, I must say, you and your team did an excellent job, Naruto, Kakashi said, scanning over the report Naruto had given him. Except for some minor incidents and one unsanctioned stop. Naruto chuckled nervously when Kakashi sent him a knowing look. It seems your mission was a complete success. Some of the other Kage even requested you to return to their village. Seems you've become quite popular, Naruto. I'm quite impressed, Naruto. Shizune said, as she flashed Naruto a bright smile. I knew you'd do a great job. Haha, what can I say? It wasn't just me, my team helped a lot too. Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head in embarrassment. Yes, the other villages wished to express their gratitude to you and your team. Kakashi said, as he stood up from his seat. The silver-haired Kage walked up to Naruto, and placed his hand on the Jinchuriki's shoulder. Great job Naruto, I'm proud of you. Thank you, sensei. Naruto said, feeling a rush of joy flow through his body. Well, you better go home and get some rest. Kakashi said, as he patted Naruto's shoulder. I'll give you the next week off, and all of your girls will be absolved of all their shinobi duties until after their pregnancies are complete and they've had ample time to recover. That sounds good to me. Naruto said, standing up from his chair as well. I better head home, I need to help find Tamari-chan a place to stay. Oh, that won't be necessary. Kakashi said, which caused Naruto to quirk an eyebrow. Huh, Naruto said in a confused tone. What are you talking about, sensei? Naruto. Before Kakashi had a chance to answer, the door to the office burst open. Both Naruto and Kakashi turned to see Konan, Ryuzetsu, and Tamari standing in the doorway. The girls were breathing heavily and had a worried look on their faces. What's up, girls? Why do you all look so freaked out? Naruto asked, as he walked up to the three girls. Your apartment, Konan exclaimed, still trying to catch her breath. What about my apartment? Naruto said, as he started to feel worried himself. Girls, tell me what's going on. Your apartment is completely empty, Naruto. Ryuzetsu shouted, causing Naruto's eyes to widen. There's nothing left in there. It's like you got robbed or something. What? Naruto yelled, as he whipped around to face Kakashi. Kakashi-sensei, did you know about this? Maybe. Kakashi replied, scratching his chin. But don't worry, Naruto. Don't worry. How can I not worry? Naruto screamed, as he stormed over to Kakashi. The blonde Jinchuriki began to pull on his hair. I've been robbed. All my things are gone. You weren't robbed, Naruto. Kakashi said, which caused Naruto to look even more confused. I had all of your possessions moved to your new home. My new home. Naruto repeated, as his eyes slowly widened. Yes, you didn't expect me to let you live in that cramped apartment when you have 8 wives and over a dozen children on the way. Kakashi said, tossing a small object to Naruto. Catching the metallic object, Naruto was surprised to see a golden key in his hands. Tazuna and Inari were more than happy to build you a new house. Think of it as an early wedding gift, and a thank you for all the things you've done for the village. Are you serious? Naruto asked, as he stared down at the key in his hands. Of course I am, Naruto. Kakashi said with a hidden smile. The silver-haired Hokage grunted slightly when he felt something tightly wrap around him. Looking down, Kakashi saw that Naruto was hugging him. Thank you, sensei. Naruto said, as he felt tears sting his eyes. There's no need to thank me, Naruto. Kakashi said, patting Naruto on the back. Now get going and check out your new home. I've already sent word to your other girls, so they should be making their way now, and I took the liberty of moving most of their possessions as well. One of my receptionists will give you the address on your way out. All right. Naruto cheered, as he let go of Kakashi and sprinted towards the door. Konan-chan, Ryuzetsu-chan, Tamari-chan, let's go and check out our new house. Hold on, Naruto. The three girls shouted simultaneously, chasing after the Jinchuriki. That sure was nice of you, building Naruto a new home. Shizune said, as she placed a kiss on Kakashi's cheek. Well, it was time for him to move out of that apartment anyways. Kakashi said, leaning back in his chair. With all those kids on the way, he's gonna need a big house. It was the least I could do for him, he's my student after all and the son of my teacher. Plus, Tazuna and Inari really were excited to build Naruto a home. You really are too kind, Kakashi Hatake. Shizune said, as she leaned down to whisper into Kakashi's ear. Maybe tonight I can. Oh, I almost forgot one thing. Naruto exclaimed, poking his head back into the office. The blonde had a massive smirk on his face as he locked eyes with Shizune. Shizune, you got a little something on your neck. The dark-haired woman immediately turned beet red, and let out a girlish squeal as she covered the hickey on her neck. Letting out a boisterous laugh, Naruto once again left the office. Have fun you too. 10 minutes later, northern edge of the village. This area looks completely new to me. Sakura commented, as she walked beside Ino. The Pinkett is surprised by all the new shops and buildings she was seeing. I've never seen any of this before. Yeah, Daddy told me that village has started undergoing expansion ever since we left on our mission. Ino explained, gazing at all the new sights around her. Apparently the village was starting to get too crowded, so we needed to expand. Daddy said they're planning on tearing down some of the eastern wall, so that more housing space can be built. So much has changed since we left. Sakura said, a small smile gracing her lips. Jiraiya-sama and Shisho are planning to get married next spring. Kakashi-sensei and Shizune are dating. Karen and Itachi are a couple, and I hear that she already moved in with him. The new police force has made our jobs that much easier. Plus, the village is growing each day. Yeah, things sure are different now. Ino said, staring down at her feet with a smile of her own. But they're all good changes, you know. Everyone seems so happy now, we might be able to enjoy some actual peace for a change. That would be nice, Sakura said, just as she spotted Naruto and the rest of the girls. Looks like everyone is already here. Hey you too, Naruto called out excitedly, practically shaking with anxiousness. Hurry up so we can check out our new home. Slow down you baka, Sakura yelled, as she placed a hand on her bulging stomach. Did you forget I'm carrying triplets? I can't move as fast as I used to. Sorry Sakura-chan, I'm just really excited. Naruto said with a grin on his face, rubbing the back of his head. This is our home we're going to see. I know you're excited, Sakura said in a sweet tone, as she placed a hand on Naruto's whiskered cheek. Just try to remember that us girls gotta take it easy for a while. Lol, I wanna apologize in advance for my poor descriptive skills. So just bear with me on this next part and really use your imagination. I understand Sakura-chan, Naruto said, placing a quick kiss on the seal on Sakura's forehead. Now let's see our home. Pulling out the golden key, Naruto walked up to the large iron gate surrounding the house. The blonde Jinchuriki took a moment to admire the Uzumaki symbol that adorned the center of the gate. With a bright smile, Naruto placed the key in the lock and pushed the gates open. Everyone gasped as the gates opened up to an expansive front yard that led up to a massive 3-story home. Naruto and his girls were in awe at the gorgeous landscaping that decorated the front yard. Walking up the pathway leading to the house, Naruto slowly opened the front doors. The doors opened up into a large foyer area that was illuminated by a beautiful chandelier overhead. Holy crap! Naruto breathed out as he stepped foot into the house. From what Naruto could see, the house was truly massive with dozens of rooms filling its halls. However, the house appeared to be lightly furnished, but Naruto knew the girls would soon fix that problem. Well girls, I guess we should get to exploring the house. After all this is our home now. All the girls squealed in excitement as they ran off in different directions. Ino quickly headed towards the back of the house. She was delighted to see that the backyard was just as expansive as the front. The Yamanaka inwardly cheered when she saw the large swimming pool as she stepped into the backyard. Summer was only a few months away, so the pool would definitely be put to good use. However, Ino almost screamed for joy when she saw the greenhouse near the back of the yard. Walking into the greenhouse, Ino found everything she would need to keep her own personal garden all year round. The greenhouse was already full of beautiful flowers, their fragrance causing Ino to release a content sigh. Ino smiled when she saw a single purple rose amongst the many flowers, which reminded her of her first date with Naruto. Maybe she could get the blonde baka to help her out with the garden. As Ino explored the backyard, Tenten and Temari were busy checking out the house's basement. Like the rest of the house, the basement was large and had several different rooms. But the largest room was a training area in the center of the basement. Temari grinned, imagining all the practice fights she could have with Tenten down here. They still had to settle their little rivalry after all. While Temari admired the features of the training area, Tenten was inspecting what appeared to be an armory. Tenten's mouth watered slightly as she browsed through the dozens weapons that lined the room's wall. The weapons ranged from beautiful katanas all the way down to simple shuriken. Tenten could already picture her own weapons filling the empty weapon stands. She'd have to teach Naruto how to use a sword one these days. With Temari and Tenten in the basement, Konan and Ryuzetsu explored the house's third floor. Konan was ecstatic when she found a fully stocked library and a tucked-away study. The blue-haired woman couldn't help chuckling when she found every issue of Ika Ika amongst the library's contents, no doubt insisted by Jiraiya. The library even sported a fireplace in the center. Konan could already picture Naruto and her spending many quiet nights in this room, sitting around the fire and possibly even reading stories to their children. As Konan got lost in her thoughts, Ryuzetsu wandered through the rest of the third floor. Many of the rooms appeared to be empty guest rooms, however one room caught Ryuzetsu's attention. The white-haired woman stumbled upon a rather beautiful-looking bath. Ryuzetsu noted that the large bath could easily fit all of them in it at once. Sticking a hand in the water, Ryuzetsu couldn't help moaning because of the warm water, it was the perfect temperature. After their long mission she could definitely use a good, long soak. Maybe she could get Naruto to join her for a private bath. While Konan and Ryuzetsu were on the third floor, Hinata was busy exploring the first floor. The Hyuga was happy to find a modern kitchen, full of everything she would need to cook. Hinata had already decided that she would be the family's main cook. It's not that the other girls were bad at cooking, Hinata was just better than them when it came to culinary arts. It's something the other girls quickly came to accept, because their cooking simply couldn't compare to Hinata's. The Hyuga girl had happily accepted the job, because she truly loved to cook and bake. However, the other girls and Naruto made it clear that they wouldn't let Hinata make every meal, and that they'd help her in the kitchen whenever she needed it. After inspecting the kitchen, Hinata made her way into a rather large empty room. She could only imagine that it was supposed to be the living room. A smile graced Hinata's face, as she placed a hand over her stomach. She could already picture all of them laughing and playing with the children in this room. Enko and Sakura wandered the second floor together. They found out that the second floor was where all of their rooms were. Each of them had their own separate rooms, all of them equal in size. Both girls were slightly surprised to see that most of their belongings had already been moved into each room. Clearly labeled boxes filled each bedroom, signifying which room belonged to each girl. Each bedroom was fairly large, and came with its own bathroom and expansive built-in closet. However, Enko and Sakura were not surprised that Naruto's room was by far the largest and most elegant. The blonde Jinchuriki's room even had a balcony that overlooked the backyard. Sakura and Enko both had a feeling they'd be spending more time in this room than their own. As Sakura and Enko walked through the halls, they both stopped at one particular room. Both women clutched a hand over their hearts when they saw that the room was clearly supposed to be the nursery. The room was left largely undecorated, which allowed the girls to do that themselves. However, a lone crib sat in the center of the room, signifying exactly what the room was supposed to be. Both women shared a smile as they pictured their future children sleeping soundly in this very room. "Hey girls, can you come here for a second?" Naruto called out from the foyer. After a few minutes all of the girls had made their way back into the foyer. "Good, you're all here. Why did you call us all here, Naruto?" Sakura asked, cocking a pink eyebrow. "I wanted to wait until after our mission was complete to do this. And now that we have our very own home, I feel that it's the perfect time," Naruto said, as 7 Bunshin appeared beside him. All the girls gasped when Naruto and all his clones took a knee in front of them. Naruto and his clones held out their hands, and a small box popped into their outstretched hand. Taking a calming breath, Naruto popped the question. "Sakura-chan, Hinata-chan, Ino-chan, Enko-chan, Tenten-chan, Temari-chan, Konan-chan, Ryuzetsu-chan, will you marry me?" Naruto and his clones asked simultaneously, opening the small boxes. All of the girls had tears streaming down their faces when they saw the diamond rings. Each ring had a diamond that individually matched the girls' eyes. Naruto began to get slightly nervous as the girls just stared at him in shock. "So, yes, of course I'll marry you," each girl yelled, as they all hugged Naruto. The smile on Naruto's face couldn't be brighter as he hugged his girls tightly. After Naruto and his clones released the girls, they all hurried to put on their rings. "I'm gonna be Mrs. Sakura Uzumaki. Sakura thought, staring at the bright green diamond on her ring. I'm so happy you said yes. Naruto said, as he kissed Sakura on the cheek. Of course I was going to say yes. Sakura said with a chuckle, giving Naruto a chaste kiss. I love you, you baka. I love you too, Sakura-chan. Naruto said, as he pulled Sakura in for a tight hug. I was thinking we should wait until after the babies are born before we have the wedding. That sounds like a great idea. Sakura said with a small smile, burying her head into Naruto's chest. I can't wait to start our new family. I can't either. Naruto said, as he kissed the top of Sakura's head. 1 week later, Hokage Tower. You wanted to see me, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto asked, stepping into the Hokage's office. Yes, I wanted to give you something, Naruto. Something that is very overdue. Kakashi said, as Naruto took a seat in front of his desk. The silver-haired Hokage reached into a drawer, and pulled out a manila envelope. Naruto could tell that Kakashi was smiling behind his mask, as handed Naruto the envelope. What's this? Naruto asked, but he received no reply from Kakashi. Shrugging his shoulders, Naruto opened the envelope. The blonde quirked an eyebrow when he pulled out a single piece of paper. However, when Naruto began to read the paper, his eyes slowly began to widen. Sensei, are you serious? Of course I am, Naruto. Kakashi replied with an eye smile. Congratulations on becoming a Jonin. Thank you, sensei. Naruto exclaimed, as he ran over to Kakashi and pulled him in for a hug. But are you sure I'm ready? I absolutely know you're ready, Naruto. Kakashi said, placing his hands on Naruto's shoulders. There is no one in the village more deserving of the title of Jonin than you. And this mission you completed only further proved that you're ready. You proved to me that you can handle a team, and can successfully negotiate with foreign leaders. You're more than qualified to be a Jonin. I don't know what to say. Naruto said in an excited tone, as he reread the note another time. I can't believe I'm finally a Jonin. There's one more thing I wanted to tell you, Naruto. Kakashi said, getting the blonde Jinchuriki's attention. Starting next week, Tsunade-sama and I will be officially starting your Hokage training. Alright, I'm finally on the road to becoming Hokage. Naruto cheered, as a massive grin spread across his face. However, Naruto stopped when he suddenly ran out of breath. Shit, I forgot to take my pills this morning. Reaching into his pocket, Naruto popped a handful of Tsunade's pills. You still need to take those. Kakashi said, releasing a light sigh. Speaking of Tsunade-sama, she wanted to speak with you. She should be at the hospital. So you better go see her right away. Okay, I'll head over to the hospital right now. Naruto said, as he hopped onto a nearby windowsill. I'll see you later, Kakashi-sensei. The blonde Jinchuriki couldn't help the feeling of elation he felt, while he sprinted atop the village's rooftops. He couldn't be any happier right now. He had a new home to live in with his girls. His children would be born in a few months. He was just promoted to Jonin, and his Hokage would start next week. Naruto was on top of the world right now. The only thing nagging him was the poison coursing through his body, and the identity of whoever or whatever destroyed Oto. But for the time being, Naruto focused on finding Tsunade. As Naruto entered the hospital, he noted that it was busy as usual. He quickly found a nurse, and learned that Tsunade was in her office. Thanking the nurse, Naruto made his way up to Tsunade's office. Knocking on the door, Naruto stepped into Tsunade's office. Kakashi-sensei said you wanted to see me, Ba-chan. Naruto said, walking up to Tsunade's desk. Yeah, we have some tests to run, Gaki. Tsunade replied, as she stood up from her desk and walked up to Naruto. We're gonna need some fresh blood samples so that we can further study the poison. All that I've been able to determine so far is that it's a synthetic man-made poison that I've never seen before. The busty blonde lead Naruto over to an examination table. Naruto sat down and rolled up his sleeve. Tsunade inserted a needle into Naruto's exposed arm, and began to drain some of his blood. Whoever made this poison designed it to directly affect Jinchuriki. We're just lucky the Akatsuki never got their hands on whatever this stuff is. Do you think you'll be able to find a cure, Ba-chan? Naruto asked in a somewhat dejected tone. I mean, you've been researching this poison ever since Sakura-chan told you about it. It's got both of you, the greatest medical minds in the world, completely stumped. We'll find a cure, Naruto, don't you worry. Tsunade reassured Naruto with a small smile. It might take time, but you'll eventually be back to your old self. You're my grandson after all, I have to protect you. Thanks Ba-chan, Naruto said, as Tsunade pulled the needle out of his arm. Alright, that should do it. Tsunade said, putting a label on Naruto's blood sample. You're free to leave, but take it easy for a while. I took about a liter of blood. Okay, I'll see you later Ba-chan. Say hi to Ero Sennin for me. Naruto called out, as he left the office. Time to get to work. Tsunade said, beginning her tests on Naruto's blood. After several hours had passed, Tsunade hadn't made any headway in her research. She had run dozens of tests multiple times, but hadn't come any closer to finding a possible cure. All that she had managed to find out was that the poison was actually hidden within Naruto's blood vessels, which made the infected cells harder to find. The only way to distinguish infected blood cells from clean ones was that infected cells were a slightly darker shade of red. With a heavy sigh, Tsunade pushed away from the microscope she had been looking through. She heard the door open behind her, and soon found a cup of coffee next to her. Have you found anything new? Shizune asked, as she took a seat next to Tsunade. No, Tsunade replied, running a hand down her face. This poison is unlike anything I've seen before. It seems to mutate and adapt to any tests I try, which makes it extremely hard to study. I can't get any consistent or conclusive results, because this damn poison is always changing. Maybe you should take a break, Shizune said, as she rested a hand on her master's shoulder. You've been at this for hours, you should get some rest. Pick back up where you left off tomorrow. You're probably right Shizune, Tsunade said, taking a sip of her coffee. I'll call it a night. Hey, Jiraiya is probably worried sick about me. After a quick laugh, Tsunade exited her office. Whoever created this damn poison is one evil bastard. 4 months later, Konoha's hospital. AGHHH. I'm gonna fucking kill you Naruto. Sakura screamed, as she lay panting on her hospital bed. The Pinkett fiercely glared at Naruto, who was sitting in a chair next to her bed. This is all your fault. Why you're doing great Sakura-chan. Naruto said, trying his best to hold back tears. The blonde Jinchuriki was currently holding Sakura's hand, but the Pinkett must have lost control over her immense strength. Naruto knew that his hand was definitely broken. Just do what Tsunade-bachan tells you. Shut up. Sakura roared, as she felt another wave of pain wash over her. You're doing great Sakura, you're almost there. Tsunade said, doing her best to calm Sakura down. Just give me another big push. Sakura screamed out as she pushed with all her might. Alright, I can see ahead. Give me another push. After Sakura gave another push, a piercing cry filled the room. It's a boy. A large smile spread across Sakura and Naruto's face as Tsunade handed their first son to a nurse. You'll be able to see them later, but you've still got 2 more Sakura. Now give me another push. Sakura let out another scream, just as Tsunade spotted another head. Another loud cry, and Tsunade held up their second child. This one is a girl. Just 1 more Sakura, you're doing great. Sakura gave one last push, which led to yet another piercing cry. And it's a boy. Okay, you're done Sakura. Thanked Kami, I thought I was gonna die. Sakura breathed out, as she tried to catch her breath. Why you did great, Sakura-chan. Naruto said, forcing a smile onto his face. The blonde Jinchuriki was only able to keep the facade for a few more moments, before he passed out from the pain. When Naruto awoke several hours later, he found that he was in a different room. Sorry about your hand. Sakura's soft voice caused Naruto's head to snap up. The blonde Jinchuriki's heart instantly melted when he saw 2 sleeping babies in Sakura's arms. You broke the poor boy's hand, Sakura. Tsunade teased, as she gently rocked Naruto's third child. I said I was sorry. Sakura said, turning to face Naruto again. So, have you thought of any names? Naruto walked up to the 2 children that Sakura was holding. Sakura was currently holding one of their sons and their only daughter. The boy had a tuft Naruto's bright blonde hair and his blue eyes. The girl on the other hand had Sakura's pink hair, but Naruto's blue eyes. Naruto had previously discussed this with Sakura, and he knew what he wanted to name these 2. Minato. Naruto said, as he gently picked up his first son. He kissed the baby on the forehead, and then handed him back to Sakura and Kushina. Their beautiful names, Naruto. It's a great way to honor your parents. Sakura said, gazing lovingly at the babies in her arms. Minato and Kushina, it really suits them. What about this little guy? Tsunade asked, as she handed Naruto his other son. Naruto hummed, staring down at the little child. The baby had a patch of blonde hair, but its color much more closely resembled Temari's hair color. However, the baby had inherited Sakura's bright green eyes. How about Shinichiku? Shinichiku. Sakura repeated, as she tossed the name around in her head. You know what? I really like it. Really? Naruto said, a big smile on his face. Yeah, it's a cute name and for some reason it just sounds right. Sakura said, staring at the child in Naruto's arms. Yes, he's our little Shinichiku. Over the next month the rest of Naruto's children would be born. Enko followed shortly after Sakura, giving birth to a baby girl. The little girl had Enko's purple hair, but Naruto's blue eyes. After some debate, Naruto and Enko decided to call their baby girl Hikaru. Following Enko was Ino, the platinum blonde gave birth to a healthy baby boy. Because the little boy had cried very little, Naruto and Ino settled named the little boy Raiji. Mere days after Ino was Tenten, who gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. The small child had dirty blonde hair and Tenten's brown eyes. Tenten was so happy when she held her son that she thought of his name almost immediately, Sachihiro. About a week after Tenten it was Hinata's turn. The Hyuga gave birth to a set of twins, a boy and a girl. The boy had Naruto's bright blonde hair and blue eyes, while the girl had inherited Hinata's indigo hair and her Byakugan eyes. Naruto was surprised when Hinata easily came up with names for the children. The boy was named Boruto, or Bolt for short, and the girl was called Himawari. After Hinata was Ryuzetsu and Konan. Both girls gave birth on the same day. Ryuzetsu's child was actually born first. The white-haired beauty gave birth to a beautiful boy, who inherited both his mother's white hair and unique eyes. Ryuzetsu felt that only one name was really appropriate, Yudoto. About an hour after Ryuzetsu, Konan gave birth to baby girl. The little girl was almost a carbon copy of her mother, sharing her blue hair and stunning amber eyes. Konan decided to honor her home village, and named the baby girl Aim. Last, but certainly not least, was Temari. The Suna native gave birth to a healthy baby boy. Because of Temari's affinity for wind, she quickly found a name for her son, Amanokase. With the birth of his children, and Hokage training underway, Naruto felt that a new chapter of his life was finally starting. However, one last threat for Naruto loomed over the horizon. Like a coiled snake, a hooded figure waited for the perfect time to strike. So, the Dobi had some kids. Sasuke said, standing in a large tree that overlooked the entire village. The Uchiha's Sharingan blazed as an evil smirk spread across his face. This just made my task a little easier. Hokage Tower, 2 years later. Naruto, are you done filing those reports from Suna? Shizune asked, setting another large stack of papers down next to the tired-looking shinobi. Because if you or I need you to take these papers to Kakashi right away. Hopefully this will be the last batch for today. Sure thing Shizune, I'll get right on it. Naruto said in an exhausted tone. The blonde Jinchuriki had been up since 5 in the morning, and it was already well into the afternoon. Hinata would likely be preparing dinner soon. Naruto began to drool slightly as he envisioned himself eating one of Hinata's delicious home-cooked meals. Unfortunately, the tower had been unusually busy that day, keeping Naruto and Shizune constantly busy and moving. Thank you Naruto. You've been such a big help. Shizune said with a warm smile, as she slumped down into a nearby chair. We've been absolutely slammed lately, and there's been little time to relax. Once you're done you can head on home. Your family is probably waiting for you. Releasing a light sigh, Shizune longingly gazed down at ring on her finger. When Shizune next spoke her voice was barely above a whisper. It's been all work lately, we haven't had much time to spend together. Have you and Kakashi-sensei had any luck with, having a baby? Naruto asked, picking up the stack of papers. The blonde was immediately caught off guard by the paper's weight and nearly dropped them, but he managed to recover just before the stack toppled over. Because I know you've been trying a lot lately. Yeah, we've been trying. But we haven't had any luck yet. Shizune replied, as a slight blush spread across her face. The dark-haired woman avoided Naruto's gaze and stared down at her lap. All this work lately hasn't been helping either. By the time Kakashi gets home at night he's too tired to do anything intimate. I don't blame him though, because he does work all day. But, it's just a little frustrating, you know. I understand, Naruto said, smiling brightly at Shizune. Just hang in there, all this work will blow over eventually. When it does you and Kakashi-sensei will have more time to be alone together. Well, I better get these to Kakashi-sensei. Thanks again, Naruto. Shizune said quietly, as she played with the ring on her finger. I always make you listen to my problems. It's no problem, Shizune, Naruto said, opening the door to the room with his foot. I like helping wherever I can, and if talking to me helps you I'm happy to listen. Flashing Shizune one last toothy grin, Naruto exited the small office. Honestly, Shizune muttered, as a small smile graced her face. That boy is too nice for his own good. Releasing a light sigh, Shizune looked up at ceiling and closed her eyes. Kushina, Minato, you would be so proud of your little boy. He's grown up to be such a great young man, and he's the pride of the village. We're forever in his debt for all the things he's done for us. 2 minutes later, Hokage's office. Kakashi-sensei, I've got some more paperwork for you, so I'm coming right in. Naruto called out, forcing the door to Kakashi's office with his shoulder. When Naruto entered the office, he saw an exhausted-looking Kakashi lazily stamping a piece of paper on his desk. The silver-haired Hokage had visible bags under his eyes and looked as if he would pass out any minute. Sorry Kakashi-sensei, but I got one more stack for you. But the good news is that Shizune said this was the last of today's paperwork. Thanked Kami, set it down on my desk. Kakashi said, as he ran a hand down his face. I swear this huge influx of work is gonna be the death of me. You and me both. Naruto groaned out, sinking into one of the chairs in front of Kakashi's desk. I know all of this is a part of my Hokage training, but all this desk work is a fucking nightmare. I don't know how Tsunade Bachan and the other Hokage did it. Well, Tsunade-sama usually just passed the paperwork along to Shizune. Kakashi said, as he scanned over one of the new papers on his desk, the ring on his finger reflecting light from the setting sun. So, Kakashi set down the paper he was reading and looked up at his former student. How have things been lately? How are the girls? Are your kids doing well? Shouldn't you be focusing on your work right now? Naruto asked with a light chuckle. I mean, you were just complaining about how busy we've been. It's fine, Kakashi said, as he clasped his hands on top of his desk. I'm not the Hokage right now, I'm just a sensei who wants to check up on one of his students. We haven't been able to sit down and talk lately and I want to know how you're doing. Plus, I haven't seen your little ones in a while. If you put it that way. Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head. Everything has been pretty great actually. You know Sakura-chan was made head surgeon at the hospital when Bachan retired last year. Ino-chan and Anko-chan are the heads of the IT department, but to be honest it's been pretty slow for them lately. Our relationships with the other shinobi villages have never been better, largely in part thanks to your help. Kakashi said, a smile hidden behind his mask. Of course there's still the occasional Rouge Ninja and stray bandit groups, but all in all we're in times of peace. Yeah, that's why most of missions lately have been peacekeeping missions to the other villages. Naruto said, scratching his cheek. Well, you are quite famous throughout the shinobi world. Kakashi said with an eye smile. It's only natural we'd make you our primary diplomat. Don't get me wrong, I'm so happy that there's peace in the world right now. Naruto said, before releasing a heavy sigh. But, you miss the action. Kakashi finished, which caused Naruto to nod his head. Don't worry Naruto, you'll get your chance to do some fighting. Tell you what, next time we have a mission to take out some bandits the mission is all yours. Thanks sensei, I really appreciate that. Naruto said, smiling at his silver-haired teacher. So what else is happening? How are the other girls? Kakashi asked, as he leaned back in his chair. Konan-chan was recently made headmaster of the academy. Tamari-chan is now a full-time teacher at the academy, and the kids are always shocked to find out she's the Kage's older sister. Naruto replied, laughing when he remembered the odd looks on all of the kids' face. Even though we're in peacetime, there's no shortage of kids who want to grow up and be ninja. Naruto released a light sigh and gazed out a nearby window at the Hokage monument. Well, they have a great role model to look up to, Kakashi said with a light chuckle, which caused Naruto to slightly blush in embarrassment. Anyways, Tenten-chan, Hinata-chan, and Ryuzetsu-chan are all still active shinobi. But they try to take less missions so that they can spend time with the kids. Naruto said, turning back to look at Kakashi. The kids have been great too, but they're quite the handful. They just love to yell and run all around the house. Minato, Boruto, and Hikaru are the most energetic and troublesome of the bunch. All three of them love to run off and get into places they're not supposed to be. Tenten-chan actually caught Boruto in her armory one afternoon. Luckily she stopped him before he could possibly hurt himself. Then there was the time Hikaru snuck out of the house and somehow wandered all the way Aburame compound. I swear Anko-chan was going to have a heart attack if Shino hadn't shown up to drop Hikaru off. Sounds rough, Kakashi said, as he leaned back forward. It was really rough for the first few months. But once we got into a routine, things got a lot better. Naruto explained, smiling as he remembered all of the late nights trying to get all of the kids to fall asleep. Aside from those three, the rest of the kids are pretty well behaved. Kushina, Shinichiku, Himawari, and Raiji are so easygoing and well-mannered, compared to the other kids. Especially Kushina, she loves to help Sakura clean up or set the dinner table. Sachihiro, Yudoto, Aim, and Amanokes are somewhere in the middle. Sometimes they're really easy, but other times they're almost as bad as Boruto or Hikaru. How have Tsunade-sama and Jiraiya-sama been doing? I haven't seen either of them in a few weeks, Kakashi asked, as he got out of his chair and walked over to the window. They've been pretty good, Naruto replied, getting up and standing next to Kakashi. I'm so glad they don't mind babysitting the kids. If me and girls weren't so busy we would watch them more often, but like I said, we try to make as much time for them as possible. But I don't think the kids mind, because Tsunade-bachan just loves to spoil them all. Plus all the kids love listening to Ero Sennin's stories. Don't worry, Bachan always makes sure his stories are child appropriate. Naruto released a light sigh and put his hands in his pockets. It must be hard for her, knowing that she can't have kids of her own. But I am happy that she can enjoy spending time with my kids. She always has Get's biggest smile on her face when we drop the kids off. What about your booty calls in the other villages? Kakashi asked in a teasing tone. Oi, they're not booty calls. I care about all of them, but they can't stay here for various reasons. Naruto snapped, as he glared at Kakashi in annoyance. The blonde Jinchuriki didn't take kindly to people insulting his girls, even if they were joking. To answer your question, they're all doing very well. Yugito-chan is one of the strongest and most respected kunoichi in Kumogakure. She's still very loyal to Kumo, but she tries to drop by whenever she can to talk with the girls and play with the kids. Mei-chan told me that she's planning on stepping down as Mizukage within the next few years. She already has a pretty good idea of who she wants as her replacement, so she won't have to worry about that. Once she retires, Mei-chan plans to leave Kurigakure and move in with me and the girls. Kuritsuchi-chan is still working hard to become Tsuchikage, just like I'm working my ass off to be Hokage. But she told me that it's very likely that she'll get the job once her grandfather retires. Fu-chan has become the strongest shinobi in Takigakure, and Shibuki is allowing her to leave the village more often and go on more solo missions. She's also fully mastered Chomei's powers, and the two of them have apparently become great friends. Once Shibuki allows it, Fu-chan plans to move here and live with me. Lastly, Shion-chan is still the priestess of Oni no Kuni. But she's often kept busy by little Fumiko. Naruto softly smiled as he pictured the beautiful little red-haired girl's smiling face. Shion had picked the name, because she thought that the little girl was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. I try to stop by at least twice a week to visit and spend time with them. If I can, I drop in more often I do, but we've been so busy lately that I can barely manage 2 times a week. Hey, Shion's already getting Fumiko ready to take over as priestess. Nothing too hard right now, just a few simple lessons a few times a week. That good to hear. Kakashi hummed, walking back over to his chair and sinking into it. So, Naruto said, as he took a seat as well. I told you all about myself. How are things with you and Shizune? To be honest, Kakashi replied, rubbing the back of his head. Things have been rather strained between us ever since we started getting swamped by all this work. We don't have a lot of time to sit down and talk, eat together, or do anything that married couples should do. You know that Shizune and I have been trying to have a baby, right? Well, by the time I get home after work I'm usually too exhausted to be intimate with Shizune, and I can tell that it's starting to irritate her. I know she understands the situation, but that doesn't stop her from being disappointed. That stack of papers is the last of your work, right sensei? Naruto asked, as he glanced at the large stack of paperwork on Kakashi's desk. Yeah, and if I'm lucky I'll be finished with it before midnight. Kakashi replied, releasing a heavy sigh. It was nice chatting with you Naruto, but you don't have to stay any longer. You should go home and spend time with your family. You know Kakashi-sensei, if you don't mind I can finish that paperwork for you. Naruto said, which caused Kakashi's eyes to widen. All you really need to do is stamp your signature, right? Well, yeah, but you don't have to do this Naruto. You should go home and spend time. And you should head home and spend time with Shizune. Naruto cut his sensei off and got out of his chair. Walking over to Kakashi, Naruto gently ushered the Hokage towards the door. Don't worry sensei, I'll explain everything to the girls when I get home later. I'll finish everything here, so go home with Shizune and relax. Naruto smiled slyly and nudged Kakashi's arm. Maybe even work on that baby you two want. Naruto, you don't. I'm not taking no for an answer. Naruto said, pushing Kakashi into the hallway. The blonde Jinchuriki smiled brightly at his bewildered sensei. Good night Kakashi-sensei, I'll see you tomorrow. Wait, Kakashi called out, as he stopped Naruto from closing the door. Fine you win, I'll let you finish up here and I'll head home early. But, Kakashi placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder and gave him an eye smile. Come by my office early on Monday, I have something important to discuss with you. Sure thing sensei. Naruto said, pushing Kakashi back into the hallway. Now get on out of here. When Naruto was sure Kakashi was gone, he formed a familiar hand sign. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 2 clones popped into existence next to Naruto. Alright guys, let's knock the paperwork out and get back home quick as possible. Yeah, both clones cheered before the 3 Narutos started finishing the rest of Kakashi's work. The following Monday, Naruto's home. Ah! Naruto yelled, as he bolted upright in his bed. The blonde Jinchuriki was panting slightly and a thin sheen of sweat coated his body. Pressing a hand to his forehead, Naruto took a calming breath. What the hell was that dream? What's wrong Naruto? Sakura asked in a tired voice, rubbing the sleep out of her eyes. The pinkette brushed her long pink locks out of her eyes as she sat up next to Naruto. It's not like you to scream like that. Yeah, what's got you so worked up Naruto-kun? Hinata's exhausted voice came from Naruto's other side. The Hyuga stifled a yawn as she hugged Naruto's arm. Did you have a bad dream or something? I did. Well, it wasn't a nightmare or anything. But it was such a strange dream. Everything just seemed so wrong. Naruto replied, as he ran his hands down his face. Tell us about it, Sakura said, as she gently rubbed Naruto's back. It will probably help to talk about what you saw. Okay, I'll tell you. Naruto said, taking a deep breath. The dream seemed like it was taking place in an alternate universe and it seemed to follow me several years of my life. It looked like the dream started around this time in our lives, after the war had ended. But things were different from our world. First off, I wasn't married to any of you girls. In fact, it seemed like I was a complete dumbass when it came to emotions and couldn't tell the difference between love for food and romantic love. Well, that's just stupid, Sakura said, as her brows furrowed. You're the smartest person I know when it comes to judging someone's emotions. I mean, you were able to make Zabuza, a hardened assassin, cry because you understood how much Haku loved him. Then you were completely connect with Gaara, because both of you had gone through similar hardships. Sakura suddenly turned her head and spoke very softly. In a Tetsu no Kuni you were able to tell that I wasn't completely honest with my feelings for you yet. Yeah, I knew you still had lingering feelings for Sasuke back then. Naruto said, kissing the top of Sakura's head. But I knew deep down that you were starting to love me and all that I needed to do was be patient and keep winning your heart over piece by piece. And you definitely did that, you baka. Sakura said, as she smiled warmly at Naruto. What else happened in your dream, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked, gently tugging on Naruto's arm to get his attention. Oh yeah, well aside from being emotionally stupid it seemed like I was still village's hero. Haha, I even had a bunch of fangirls. Naruto continued, as he rubbed the back of his head in embarrassment. For the love of Kami never mention fangirls again. Sakura groaned, pinching the bridge of her nose. I'm so ashamed of that part of my life and I want to completely forget it. No problem Sakura-chan. Hey, do you remember when I asked if I should cut my hair shorter? Naruto asked, which caused Sakura to quirk an eyebrow. Yeah, I said I'd slap you if you ever did something so stupid. Sakura replied, crossing her arms over her chest. You'd look terrible with short hair. Why do you ask? Well, apparently the version of me in my dream didn't get that message. You were absolutely right Sakura-chan, I looked horrible. Naruto said, as he shuddered slightly. Aside from that most of the dream during that portion of my life is rather hazy, but I do remember a few details. There was some creepy looking guy named Tonari who was related to Kaguya and, he lived on the moon. Both Hinata and Sakura looked rather confused when Naruto said this. He was trying to kidnap you Hinata-chan, but he took Hanabi by mistake and ended up taking her by a Kugan. Hinata gasped and hugged Naruto's arm tighter. Most of the rest is really fuzzy, but I do remember that Tonari wanted to crash the moon into the earth or something like that. Then, we ended up going to the moon to stop him. Naruto, this dream is getting stupider every second. Sakura said with a deadpanned look. It sounds like some really bad story that a child wrote. I know, that's why it's confusing me so much, because it felt so real. Naruto said, gazing down at his hands. But that's not all. During this whole thing with Tonari you were constantly knitting this red scarf, Hinata-chan. Even when we were going to save Hanabi you were still focused on finishing that scarf. What? I would never do something so selfish and stupid. Hinata exclaimed in a somewhat offended tone. I love my little sister and all my focus would be on saving her. I understand Hinata-chan, you'd risk your life to save Hanabi. You're a kind and loving big sister. Naruto said, as he patted Hinata on the head. But if remember right, you wanted to use the scarf as a way to confess your feelings to me. You'd give me the scarf as a gift and confess. Hinata blushed slightly and buried her head into Naruto's shoulder. Then I remember you said something really strange during the mission, Sakura. Me? Sakura asked, gesturing to herself. What did I say? Yeah. You said, that the only reason I loved you was because I was trying to compete with Sasuke, and that my feelings for you weren't genuine. Naruto explained, causing Sakura's eyes to widen. I know it isn't true but, Naruto was cut off when Sakura gently slapped him on the cheek. Don't you ever doubt my love for you Naruto Uzumaki. Or your love for me, Sakura exclaimed, feeling tears sting the corners of her eyes. Saying that your love for me was because of your rivalry with Sasuke is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. If your feelings for me were because of your competition with Sasuke, why didn't you go after Ino or any of the other girls who liked Sasuke? Why did you still try to earn my love after Sasuke was gone, when he wasn't around to compete with? Why would you reject my confession in Tetsu no Kuni if your love was just for some childish competition? I know you better than anyone else in this world Naruto Uzumaki. And I know you'd never fake your love for anyone, ever. Thanks Sakura-chan, I really needed to hear that. Naruto said, as he smiled brightly at Sakura. You really do know me best. Did anything else happen in your dream, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked, tugging on Naruto's arm once again. Well, we did end up defeating Tonari, and then I started dating you Hinata. Naruto replied, which caused Hinata to quirk an eyebrow in confusion. Me? What about Sakura and the other girls? Hinata asked, glancing at Sakura, who was awaiting Naruto's answer. That's the thing, Naruto explained, as he rubbed the back of his head. In my dream Sasuke was still alive. Both girls gasped when they heard this. Sakura-chan ended up marrying Sasuke and I married you Hinata-chan. Ino-chan was married to Sai and Temari-chan was married to Shikamaru. Ino married Sai. Sakura exclaimed in a shocked tone. That makes no sense. I mean, Ino mentioned that Sai was kinda cute once, but she was never interested in him that way. And Temari and Shikamaru were still together, even after that big fight they had. And I married Sasuke. By now Sakura's yelling had woken the other girls. I would never even think about marrying him after all the shit he's done to me. Oi, what the hell is all the yelling for? Anko asked in a sleepy tone, doing her best to stifle a yawn. The kids aren't even up yet for Kami's sake. Yeah, I was having such a good dream. Ino complained, as she rubbed the sleep out of her eyes. What's got you all worked up, forehead? Naruto is telling Hinata and I about a dream he had, and it's seriously screwed up. Sakura explained, releasing an annoyed huff. Even if it was just a dream set in an alternate universe, I would never marry Sasuke. Forehead marry Sasuke. Ino repeated, as she quirked an eyebrow. That is a really strange dream. But that's not all. Naruto said, getting everyone's attention. Little Sarada was your daughter in my dream, Sakura-chan. What? But she's Itachi and Karen's kid. Sakura said in a confused tone. I know, that part confused me too. Naruto said, before he turned to face Hinata. Boruto and Himawari were in my dream as well, but they were different. Different. Hinata parroted, as she slightly cocked her head. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? Personality-wise they were about the same. But they looked different. Naruto explained, scratching his chin. First off, Himawari didn't have her Byakugan. In fact, neither of them had it. Well, that doesn't make much sense. Hinata said, as she crossed her arms underneath her chest. The Byakugan is an extremely aggressive gene. I guess if we only had one child that it's possible for them not to have it. But since we had 2 children, that's very unlikely. That wasn't the only thing different about their appearance. Naruto said, running his hands through his long blonde hair. Both of them had 2 whisker marks on their face like mine. Now that's impossible. Sakura chimed in, as she rubbed the marks on Naruto's cheeks. The only reason you have those markings is because your mother was Kurama's Jinchuriki while she was pregnant with you. So unless Hinata was somehow Kurama's Jinchuriki, it'd be impossible for your children to have those markings. Because they're not something that can be genetically passed down. Oi, enough about those 2. Anko said, suddenly sitting in front of Naruto. What happened to me in your dream? Yeah, I wanna know too. Tenten said, as she scooted closer to Naruto. Did anything special happen to me? Well, you were running a weapons shop, Tenten-chan. Naruto replied, rubbing the back of his head and smiling nervously at Tenten. But, you didn't exactly look too happy. I guess the world was pretty peaceful like it is now, so you weren't getting much business. Huh, that's pretty boring. Tenten said, as she rested her head in her hand. What about me, Gaki? Anko asked, causing Naruto to tense up, something that wasn't missed by Anko. Gaki. Anko's tone was eerily calm as she leaned closer to Naruto. What about me? Haha, well, you see. Anko-chan, you were. Naruto began to stutter uncontrollably as he searched for a way out of the conversation. I'm gonna go check on the kids. Conan said, sliding out of the bed. The brunette could tell that situation was likely about to get rather ugly. I might as well check up on Amanoke's. Temari said, as she practically jumped out of the bed. I'll go with you. Ryuzetsu said, quickly following after Conan and Temari. All the girls, and especially Naruto, knew that Anko could be very scary when she wanted to be. Go on, Naruto. There was something about the way Anko said his name that caused a shiver to run down Naruto's spine, or maybe it was the sickly sweet tone she was now using. I'm waiting. Anko-chan, in my dream. You were. Naruto said, as he audibly gulped in fear. The blonde Jinchuriki knew that there was no way out of this, so he decided to just face the music. Taking a calm breath, Naruto steeled himself for what was about to happen. Anko-chan, in my dream. You were. Fat. Huh. Anko said, tightly balling her fists. Care to repeat that, Gaki? Gulp. I said you were fat in my dream, Anko-chan. Naruto said, as he noticed that Anko's brow was now twitching in irritation. It looked like you had spent the last few years doing nothing but eating Dan. Naruto was cut off when Anko suddenly kicked him the chest, sending him flying across the bedroom. Like hell that will ever happen. Anko exclaimed, fiercely glaring at Naruto. Konoha's snake mistress got off the bed and stormed over to her still dazed husband. With one strong pull, Enko yanked Naruto onto his feet. Listen here Gaki. This body. Enko grabbed Naruto's head and shoved it between her breasts. Will always be tight and toned for you. Don't you ever forget that. Enko suddenly pulled Naruto into a deep kiss, before she dropped the stunned man on his ass. I'm going to check on Hikaru. What the hell just happened? Naruto muttered, as he watched Enko strut out of the room, with a considerable sway in her hips. I will never understand that woman. Sakura said with a sigh, sliding out of the large bed. Well, that sure was an interesting dream you had, Naruto, thanks for telling us about it. Sakura turned and gently grabbed Hinata's hand. Come on Hinata, let's start on breakfast. Oh, a sure thing Sakura. Hinata squeaked, as she let Sakura lead her out into the hallway. Wait, I'll help you guys. Ino said, running after Hinata and Sakura. Naruto released a heavy sigh once he was all alone in the bedroom. I know it was just a dream. But it felt so real. It almost felt as if it was something that could have happened but didn't. But there's no way that could have been me. Naruto grimaced as he looked down at his bald fist. There was one part of his dream that he couldn't bear to tell his wives. There's no way I would ever hit my own kid, no matter what he did. I would never be such a terrible father. Releasing a light sigh, Naruto began to ready to meet Kakashi. After he got dressed and tied on his forehead protector, Naruto began to walk out of the bedroom. However, he stopped when he passed a certain picture on his dresser. It was a picture of Team 7 back in their Genin days. Naruto's eyes saddened as he gazed at Sasuke's image. Even after 2 years and all the terrible things you've done, I still miss you and consider you my brother. I wish things could have turned out differently between us Sasuke. I wish we could have brought peace to the shinobi world together, working side by side. Maybe when we meet again in the next life we'll be able to patch things up between us and be friends again. 2 hours later, Hokage Tower. I wonder what the furball thinks of my dream. Naruto asked himself, as he walked up the steps towards Kakashi's office. Oi Kurama, can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear Naruto. Kurama replied, cracking a single eye open. What did you want? Were you listening this morning? When I was talking about the dream I had? Yes I was. It was an intriguing topic, so I made sure I paid close attention. The Kyuubi suddenly let out a deep chuckle. It was quite funny when your mate kicked you across the room. Well, aside from that, what did you think of my dream? If what you said is true then that was quite a strange dream. Kurama said, before he grunted and closed his eye once again. Some people believe that there are an infinite number of universes that run parallel to ours. That every little decision we make creates a new universe based on what you decided. Wow, that sounds amazing. An infinite number of possible universes, huh? Do you believe in that, Kurama? Who knows? Kurama said, shrugging his large shoulders. There's real way to prove that those parallel worlds exist, so I try not to think about it too much. Live in the here and now, you know. I guess that makes sense. Hey, you might want to get your head together, because you're right in front of your sensei's office. Oh, thanks Kurama, Naruto thought, as he reached out to knock on the door to Kakashi's office. One last thing Naruto, Kurama muttered before he went back to sleep. Don't worry about what you saw kid, we all know that you're a great dad. Thank you Kurama, Naruto said under his breath, knocking on the door. It's me Kakashi-sensei. You said you wanted to see me. Oh Naruto. Come on in. Kakashi's voice called out from within the office. We have something very important to discuss. What did you want to talk about Kakashi-sensei? Naruto asked, as he walked into the room. You said it was something important. Yes, it is very important Naruto. Kakashi replied, clasping his hands on top of the desk. What I want to discuss with you has to do with what you've been working so hard for the past 2 years. Naruto's eyes slowly widened as he caught onto what Kakashi was talking about. All the work you've been doing the past 2 years has proved to me, without doubt, that you're ready to take over as Hokage. But sensei, Naruto exclaimed, as he shot up from his seat. You've only been Hokage for 3 years, and I'm still so young and your father wasn't much older than you when he became Hokage. Kakashi said, smiling underneath his mask. To be honest Naruto, I never really wanted to be Hokage in the first place. Don't get me wrong, I'm honored that I was even offered the position, and it certainly had its moments. However, Tsunade-sama convinced me to take this job because she felt you weren't quite ready when the war ended. But she told me that when I felt you were prepared, that I could step down and let you take over. And I am ready to step down, Naruto, because I want to focus on starting a family with Shizune. So it's time for me to start easing out of the shinobi life. Sensei. I don't know what to say. Naruto stuttered out, as he felt tears of joy form in his eyes. You don't have to say anything, Naruto. Kakashi said, walking over to his former student and placing his hand on Naruto's shoulder. I can't think of anyone more worthy to lead this village. Naruto, you've almost single-handedly united all of the shinobi villages. Because of you we haven't had any problems with the other villages since the war ended. Your parents would be so proud of everything you've accomplished. Thank you, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto said, as he pulled Kakashi in for a tight hug. You've always looked out for me and done so much for me. I couldn't have asked for a better sensei. And I couldn't have asked for a better student, even though you were a real handful sometimes. Kakashi said with a chuckle, patting Naruto on the back. So, congratulations Nanadime-sama. Man, I can't believe it. Naruto breathed out, as a stupid grin began to spread across his face. I'm gonna be Hokage. Alright. Why don't you head home and tell your family the good news? Kakashi said with an eye smile. I'll make the formal announcement in 2 weeks, so try to keep your mouth shut until then. Sure thing, sensei. Naruto cheered, as he leapt onto the windowsill. I gotta get home fast and tell everyone. Then with a childlike yell, Naruto hopped out of the window. That kid, Kakashi said in an amused tone, sinking back into his chair. I don't think I could leave the village in more capable hands. As Kakashi returned to his paperwork, he never noticed a cloaked figure sitting just outside his window. The cloaked man had an evil smirk on his face as red Sharingan eyes glowed from underneath his hood. So the Dobi is finally being made Hokage, huh? Sasuke mused to himself, staring at the expanding village before him. 2 weeks. Sounds like the perfect time to strike. 2 weeks later, Naruto's home. Today's the big day, Naruto muttered, as he checked his appearance in the mirror. Once he was satisfied, Naruto began to get dressed. Kakashi-sensei is naming me the next Hokage in a few hours, so I should try to relax and go over the speech Sakura-chan helped me write. Naruto sat at the edge of his bed and pulled a folded sheet of paper from his pocket. As the blonde Jinchuriki went over his speech, he could hear the house bustling with activity. All of the girls were busy getting themselves and the kids ready for the inauguration. Naruto lightly chuckled when he heard Ino and Sakura begin to argue on how to do their hair. But Naruto was interrupted from his practice when there were a few knocks at the door. Come on in. When the door opened, Naruto was surprised to see Konohamaru step in. What's up, Konohamaru? I know you're busy getting ready for today, boss, but... Konohamaru replied, nervously rubbing the back of his head. There's been another one. What? Naruto exclaimed, shooting up from the bed. When? Where? We just found it now and it was located about a mile north of the village along besides the main road. Konohamaru explained, as he stared at the floor. We can handle this alone, boss, and you can keep getting ready. I just thought you should know. Take me there now, Naruto said, tying on his forehead protector. This is the 5th time in 3 months. We have to get to the bottom of this. Alright, I'll take you there, but we have to hurry. You have to meet Kakashi-sama in an hour, Konohamaru said, as he walked out of the room. Yeah, I know, let's make this quick, Naruto said darkly, closely following behind Konohamaru. 5 minutes later, main road north of Konoha. Here it is, boss, Konohamaru said, as both shinobi arrived on the scene. Kami, it's a fucking mess like usual. Who the hell is doing this? Naruto asked, crouching down next to a dead Konoha shinobi. The blonde Jinchuriki frowned when he saw the gaping hole in the shinobi's chest. It's just like all the other ones. Murders like this have been springing up the past 2 years. Konohamaru said with a heavy sigh, as he crossed his arms over his chest. And we still have barely any leads on who the killer is. Where are Moegi and Udon? Naruto asked, scanning the surrounding area for possible clues. They're both searching through the woods nearby for any leads, Konohamaru replied, as he crouched down next to Naruto. This is really starting to worry me, boss. I know, I'm getting a little spooked too. Naruto said, running his hand down his face. Have you guys searched the body for any evidence yet? Not yet, Konohamaru said, as Naruto stood back onto his feet. Then you do that, I'll see if I can help Udon and Moegi. Naruto said, running into the surrounding forest. Okay, let's see if we can find anything, Konohamaru said, as he began to root through the shinobi's pockets. Pulling out the man's wallet, Konohamaru's eyes saddened when he saw a picture of what looked like the man's wife and 2 kids. Poor bastard, leaving a family behind. Sigh, I'm gonna have to let them know when we get back. After securing the wallet in an evidence bag, Konohamaru began to dig through the shinobi's flak jacket. Konohamaru eventually found something after a few moments of searching. But what Konohamaru pulled out caused his eyes to widen. Boss, you need to check this out. Within seconds Naruto, Moegi, and Udon were next to Konohamaru. What did you find? Naruto asked, coming to a skidding stop. Konohamaru didn't reply, he simply handed Naruto what appeared to be a small picture. But when Naruto saw what the picture was of, his eyes shot open in both shock and fear. What the hell? It was picture of his entire family, but that's not what worried Naruto. On the back of the picture was a short message. Beautiful family you've got here, Dobi, it would be a shame if something happened to them. If you want to keep your family safe, you'll come and settle things. You know where to go. The killer is calling me out, Naruto said, as he crushed the photo in his hand. He placed this photo on the body knowing we'd find it. Naruto growled as he tightly balled his fists. There's no doubt anymore. Sasuke is definitely alive somehow and he's been killing people to get my attention. But this is going too far. No one threatens my family and gets away with it. Boss, have you figured something out? Konohamaru asked, placing a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Yeah, I know who the killer is, Naruto replied, as he turned to face Konohamaru, Moegi, and Udon. And I'm going to stop him, alone. But boss, no arguing, Naruto exclaimed, cutting Konohamaru off before he could say any more. This is something I have to settle personally. The killer has a grudge against me, so I have to be the one to stop them. But I have an important job for you 3. Moegi and Udon, I need you 2 to explain the situation to Kakashi-sensei and stall as long as possible, don't worry, he'll understand. Konohamaru, I need you to keep my family safe and make sure they don't find out what's going on. Yes sir, the 3 Chunin yelled, before they ran off to complete their assignments. Alright Sasuke, it's time we end this, Naruto said, activating his Biju chakra mode and sprinting towards where he knew Sasuke was. For real this time. 10 minutes later, back at Naruto's home. Where is that baka? Sakura yelled, as her and the rest of the girls frantically searched the house for their husband. We have to meet with Kakashi-sensei in 10 minutes. Mommy, where's daddy? Kushina asked, closely following behind her mother. We don't know sweetie, that's why everyone is looking for him. Sakura replied, as she smiled down at her daughter. I swear when I find him I'm going to kick his ass. Mommy was gonna say a swear. Minato laughed, running past Sakura and Kushina. No swearing mommy, Shinichiku said, as he followed right behind his brother. Yes I was honey, thanks for stopping me, Sakura said, ruffling Minato's hair, much to the young boy's annoyance. Mommy is getting a little flustered right now, so why don't you 2 go help your brothers and sisters look for daddy? Okay. The 3 children cheered, before they ran off to join the other kids. I'm going to wring his fucking neck, Sakura hissed, letting out a heavy sigh. Taking a calming breath, Sakura sank into a chair in the kitchen. This is the biggest day of his life and he's going to be late. I mean, this is the dream he's been fighting and working so hard to achieve, the dream that I want him to achieve as well. Just then the front door to the house opened. Expecting it to be Naruto, Sakura rushed over to give her idiot husband an earful. Where the hell have you been? However, Sakura stopped dead in her tracks when she saw that it was Konohamaru. Oh, it's you Konohamaru. Hey Sakura. Konohamaru cheered with a forced smile and an awkward wave. Both of which Sakura picked up on almost instantly. Naruto was never a good liar and Konohamaru wasn't any better. Konohamaru almost immediately began to sweat from Sakura's intense gaze. Why did the boss have to pick me for this job? I fucking suck at lying, especially to girls. Why didn't he send Moegi instead? You know where that baka is, don't you? Sakura asked in a deadpan voice, causing Konohamaru to squeak in surprise. And no, I have no idea where the B-boss is. Konohamaru stuttered out, as he turned back towards the door. Whoops, I forgot there's something I need to do. See you la, Konohamaru, Sakura said in a menacing tone, grabbing a hold of the Chunnin's shoulder. Where is Naruto? Konohamaru yelped when Sakura's grip on his shoulder tightened considerably. I'm only going to ask this one time before I start really hurting you. Okay, I'll tell you. Just don't break my shoulder. Konohamaru exclaimed, as Sakura loosened her grip on his abused shoulder. You know about all those mysterious murders that have been popping up the past 2 years, right? When Sakura nodded her head, Konohamaru released a light sigh. Well, I guess the boss figured out who's been doing the killings, so he went after him. He what? Sakura yelled, spinning Konohamaru around so that he could face her. Where is he going? Who is the killer? I don't know, the boss didn't tell us before he left. Konohamaru replied, as a frown spread across his face. He just told me to try and keep you guys from finding out, but I guess that plan failed immediately. Son of a bitch, Sakura hissed, quickly pulling off her heels and jewelry. That damn baka, running off on his own. Sakura, what are you doing? Konohamaru asked, as he watched Sakura tie her hair into a ponytail. The young Chunin had to quickly avert his eyes when Sakura stripped out of the dress she was wearing. When Konohamaru looked again, Sakura was dressed in her normal shinobi attire, and appeared to be packing a small pouch with supplies. Sakura, what do you think I'm doing? Sakura yelled, whipping her head around to glare at Konohamaru. I'm going to help my stupid husband and make sure he doesn't get himself hurt. But the boss said he can handle. I don't care, Sakura shouted, as she slammed her hands onto the table, causing it to slightly crack. He's my husband Konohamaru and I have to make sure he makes it back home safe, plus. I just have a really bad feeling about this. Strapping the supply pouch to her waist, Sakura walked towards the door. Don't try and stop me. Sakura, Konohamaru was cut off when Sakura slammed the door behind her. Damn, the boss married such a hothead. Rubbing the back of his head, Konohamaru released a light sigh. However, Konohamaru soon felt several pairs of eyes on his. When Konohamaru turned around, he wasn't surprised to see the rest of Naruto's wives staring at him. Sigh, I'm guessing you all heard that, right? Seeing all the girls nod, Konohamaru groaned in annoyance and hung his head. Before Konohamaru could say a word, the girls were all rushing to change into their shinobi attire, ready to join Sakura. I fucking suck at this type of stuff. 2 minutes later, Karen and Itachi's home. Itachi, are you almost ready? Karen called out, as she gave herself one last once-over in the mirror. Satisfied with her appearance, Karen put in her earrings. We've gotta hurry if we wanna make it to the Hokage Tower in time. I will not be late for Naruto's inauguration. We're coming, Itachi said, suddenly appearing next to Karen with Sarada in his arms. Sorry, Sarada kept fussing when I was helping her change. Will you both look great? Karen said with a smile, as she kissed Itachi on the cheek. And you little missy, you be on your best behavior tonight, okay? This is a big day for your uncle Naruto. I'll be good mommy, Sarada said, messing with the bow in her hair. I know you will, Karen said, as she gave Sarada a quick kiss on the forehead. Because you're always such a good girl. Seeing that everyone was ready to go, Karen clapped her hands. All right everyone, let's. Karen stopped when there were a few frantic knocks at her door. Quirking an eyebrow, Karen went to open the door. I wonder who it could be. The last thing Karen expected to see was a panting and frantic-looking Sakura Uzumaki on her doorstep. Sakura, why are you here? Is something wrong? I need your help, Karen. Sakura replied, grabbing a hold of Karen's shoulders. The Pinket's voice was fast and frantic as she spoke. Naruto is missing. He went after some serial killer by himself and I have no idea where he went. I need you to use chakra sensing skills to find Naruto so I can go after him and help him. Whoa, calm down Sakura, Karen exclaimed, as she tried to ease the Pinket. Now slow down and tell me what's going on. Naruto is missing, Sakura repeated after taking a deep breath to calm herself. He's apparently going after some serial killer and that baka went by himself. So can you please use your chakra sensing abilities to find Naruto? That moron. Karen muttered, as she absent-mindedly shook her head. Of course I'll help you find him, Sakura. Come into the living room and I'll see if I can sense his chakra. Thank you so much, Karen. Sakura said, breathing a sigh of relief. Of course, Naruto is a part of my family. Karen said with a smile, as she led Sakura into the living room. Both Kunoichi took a seat, with Itachi standing behind Karen. Alright, let's get started. Taking a deep breath, Karen closed her eyes and began to search for Naruto's chakra. Because Naruto had such a large and unique chakra signature, it was very easy for Karen to locate it, so only after less than a minute she had found him. But there was another distinct chakra signature that Naruto was rapidly approaching. The chakra felt oddly familiar to Karen and caused a chill to run down her spine. I found him, Sakura. He's moving north extremely fast towards our border with the Land of Sound. Thanks for your help, Karen. I'll find him on my own from here. Sakura said, standing up from the couch. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to go help my idiot husband. Wait, before you go, Sakura. Karen said, as she grabbed a hold of Sakura's wrist. Please be careful. I sense another chakra signature that Naruto was heading towards. It was so cold and evil. Whoever's he going to fight is very strong and strongly desires vengeance. Vengeance. Sakura thought, her mind beginning to race. Suddenly Sakura's eyes widened when she envisioned who Naruto was going to fight. Sorry, Karen, but I have to go now. Before Karen could say anything else, Sakura was sprinting out of the house towards Konoha's gates. I hope they all come back okay. Karen muttered, as she watched Sakura leap onto a nearby rooftop. 2 minutes later, Konoha's main gate. Okay, one last equipment check. Sakura said, rifling through the pouch on her waist. Kunai, shuriken, smoke and flash bombs, alright, that should be everything. You don't think you're leaving without us, do you, forehead? Sakura spun around to see Ino smirking at her, with the rest of the girls standing behind her. Naruto is my husband too. Ino. Why are you here? Sakura questioned, as the platinum blonde walked up to her with her hands on her hips. We overheard you talking to Konohamaru, so we're all here to help you find our stupid husband. Ino replied, flipping some hair out of her eyes. But what about the kids? Sakura asked, as she suddenly became worried about the children's safety. Don't worry, I had Konohamaru take them over Tsunade-sama's house. Ino said, walking past Sakura towards the gate. Well, let's get to it. You know where Naruto is, so you lead the way, Sakura. Thanks you guys, I knew I could count on you all. Sakura said, as she wiped a tear from her eye. We'll always have each other's backs. Ino said with a grin, wrapping an arm around Sakura's neck. Now let's go help our husband take out an evil serial killer. Right, Sakura exclaimed with a bright smile. Same time, remains of the Valley of the End. Alright, I know you're here, Tem. Naruto yelled, as he landed in the center of the destroyed valley. Come out and face me. Seems like you got my little message, Dobi. A cool, yet mocking, voice said from behind Naruto. Whipping around, Naruto's eyes widened when he spotted Sasuke sitting atop a pile of rocks. It's been a while, Naruto. So you are alive, Naruto said, spotting several cracks in Sasuke's skin. But the most noticeable thing was the black sclera surrounding Sasuke's pupils. No, you're an Edo Tensei. Bingo, Sasuke said with a smirk, as he hopped down from the pile of rocks. Seems like the old snake wanted to use me as a secret weapon until Otogakure could properly build up its defenses. So it was you who destroyed Oto? Naruto said through clenched teeth, tightly balling his fists. You killed all those innocent people. Innocent. Otogakure was full of killers and thieves, and it was a stain on the map. Sasuke said, as he dismissively waved his hand. You should be thanking me for killing all those scum. You bastard. Naruto yelled, unconsciously tapping into Kurama's chakra, which turned his eyes blood red with slitted pupils. Orochimaru was trying to turn the village around. Sure, he did some unforgivable things, but he was trying to change and atone for his actions. He was even trying to reconnect with Ero Sennin and Tsunade Bachan. So, Sasuke asked, which further flared Sasuke's anger. Naruto's increasing fury wasn't missed by Sasuke. Oh ho, looks like I'm starting to push your buttons. Why are you doing this? Naruto asked, trying to calm his raging emotions. You destroyed an entire village and have killed dozens of people the past 2 years. Well, I destroyed Oto because it was an obstacle on my path to revolution. Sasuke replied, as he shrugged his shoulders. And I killed all those people to try and keep you on edge the past 2 years while I bided my time. Bided your time for what? Naruto questioned, causing a smirk to spread across Sasuke's face. To kill you, of course. Sasuke answered casually as if it were nothing. I've been observing you for the past 2 years, waiting for the perfect time to strike. You're still the greatest obstacle blocking my revolution, plus I have a score to settle with you now. Please Sasuke, give up on this revolution you're fixated on. Naruto pleaded, trying desperately to convince his best friend. The shinobi world has been at peace ever since the war ended. There's been no conflicts and relations between villages have never been stronger. Please just come back to the village. I'll vouch for you and make sure you aren't mistreated. If everyone can forgive Obito, they can forgive you too. Your bro. I already know my brother and Shisui are alive once again. Sasuke cut Naruto off, as he locked eye with the blonde Jinchuriki. I must say I'm kinda hurt you didn't bring me back as well, Naruto. Sasuke's mocking tone caused Naruto to grit his teeth in irritation. You forget, Dobi, I've been watching you the past 2 years. I know you've started a family, have a big house, and that you're being named the next Hokage today. You bastard, you picked today on purpose. Naruto said, playing fiercely at Sasuke. Of course, what better time to kill you than when you're about to achieve one of your lifelong dreams? Sasuke said with an evil smirk. I knew all I needed to do was threaten your family and you'd come running. I'll give you one last chance, Sasuke, either come back with me peacefully or I'll take you down and seal you away. Naruto said, activating his Biju chakra mode. This is your only warning, Tem. I think I'll pass. Sasuke said with a shrug of his shoulders. I'd much rather kill you than drop your corpse at Konoha's gate before I destroy the village, along with your precious family. You son of bitch. Naruto roared, activating his Rinnegan and teleporting in front of Sasuke. Rantan. Rasengan. Naruto slammed the raging, condensed storm cloud into Sasuke's chest. As Sasuke flew backwards, the dark clouds swallowed him and engulfed his entire body in fierce storm. Piercing wind and powerful lighting assaulted Sasuke's body before he crashed into the rock wall on the other side of the valley. Seems you've adapted to my Rinnegan very well, Sasuke said, as he fell out of the cloud of debris. The raven-haired shinobi's body was already in the process of repairing itself. And you've gained some powerful new abilities. But this fight is in my favor. As an Edo Tensei I have unlimited chakra and my body automatically heals itself. All I need to do is keep you fighting long enough for the poison in your body to cripple you. How do you know about that? Naruto yelled, his eyes widening in shock. Who do you think poisoned you? Sasuke replied with an evil smirk. I found an experimental poison in Orochimaru's lab before I destroyed it. He had developed the poison while he was still in the Akatsuki, and it was designed to weaken Jinchuriki so they would be easier to capture. But Orochimaru left the Akatsuki before he could give them the poison. But he must have always kept a sample just in case he'd ever need it. So after I destroyed Oto I began to search for you. Then when I found you in Kumogakure I spiked one of your drinks while you partying with the Nibi Jinchuriki. You bastard. Naruto growled, already beginning to feel the poison's effects. I haven't taken any of Tsunade Bachan's pills since this morning and using Kurama's chakra is making the pill's effects wear off quicker. But I must admit I was rather surprised when Tsunade developed a suppressant to counter the poison's effects for a while. Sasuke said, as he carefully eyed Naruto. But by the looks of it, it's been a while since you've had your last dose. Good, that makes my job even easier. Is there even a cure for this? Naruto asked, forming a fresh Rasengan in his hand. Of course there is, Sasuke replied, as he pulled out a small vial full of dark green liquid. Orochimaru developed a cure in case he ever used the poison to capture a Jinchuriki. Once he had the Jinchuriki's allegiance he'd administer the cure and have a new powerful weapon at his disposal. Suddenly a taunting smirk spread across Sasuke's face. Maybe if you beat me again I'll give this you, but I really doubt you'll be able to beat me in your current condition. I have to end this fast and get that antidote. Naruto thought, pumping elemental chakra into his Rasengan. The Rasengan quickly changed into a rapidly spinning sphere of ice in Naruto's palm. Hyoten. Rasengan. Naruto shot forward and pushed the ice Rasengan into Sasuke's chest. The raven-haired shinobi grunted as the ice began cover his entire body. Once everything except the arm that was holding the antidote was frozen, Naruto approached Sasuke. Sorry Tem, but this stupid game is over. I'm getting that antidote and I'm sealing you away forever. But right before Naruto could grab the vial, Sasuke's entire body became engulfed in inky black flames. Naruto had to leap backwards to avoid the intense flames. He managed to use Amaterasu. You didn't think it'd be that easy, did you, Dobi? Sasuke asked, now completely free from the ice. I was hoping it would be, but I didn't get my hopes up. Naruto said, his breathing starting to become slightly labored. Shit, I'm running out of time. Better turn off my Rinnegan to help conserve chakra. Be careful Naruto, our connection is starting fade rapidly. Kurama warned, as he already began to sense their link being severed. It might be a good idea to retreat and get some backup. No. He'd just chase me down, so running away is useless, and there's no way I could involve anyone else in this. Naruto thought, gritting his teeth to fight off his growing exhaustion. Oh, you're not using the Rinnegan anymore? Sasuke asked, as he stalked towards Naruto. Then you must be getting really close to your limit. It's only a matter of time now. Suddenly the air was filling with loud chirping as lighting danced off Sasuke's arm. How about I speed up the process? Without warning Sasuke shot towards Naruto. Chidori. Naruto immediately leapt to the right to dodge the attack, but Sasuke didn't relent at all. Sasuke kept up the pressure and easily managed to keep pace with Naruto. The blonde Jinchuriki ducked and weaved, trying his absolute best to avoid Sasuke's deadly attacks. With each step Naruto took he became weaker and his vision got blurrier. Naruto tried to fight back, punching, kicking, and countering whenever he could. Naruto had to avoid using any more jutsus, because he didn't want to further drain his diminishing chakra. But Sasuke blocked each weak and slowed attack. Eventually Naruto was on the verge of exhaustion and his movements were becoming sloppy. After a particularly close call, Naruto stumbled on the landing and fell to the ground. The blonde Jinchuriki was completely exhausted by that point and was having trouble breathing. Sasuke was on top of Naruto in an instant and stabbed his Chidori through Naruto's left shoulder. Naruto howled in pain as the electricity seared his flesh and blood gushed from the wound. Looks like you're just about finished, Sasuke said, as he retracted his hand from Naruto's shoulder. The raven-haired shinobi crouched next to Naruto and pulled out a kunai. Well, it's time we end this little fight. Looks like I won this one, Dobi. Sasuke raised the kunai and was about to slit Naruto's throat, but several approaching chakra signatures caught his attention. Actually, Sasuke smirked as he put the kunai away and pulled out his katana. Looks like we'll have some company soon. I think I'll make an example out of you before I take them out. Naruto winced when Sasuke pressed the cold steel against his cheek. I think I'll take my Rinnegan back. Sasuke then lowered his blade down to Naruto's right arm. And I believe you owe me an arm as well. 5 minutes later, path approaching the Valley of the End. Are you sure they're here, Sakura? Ino asked, following closely behind the Pinkett, with all of the other girls in tow as well. This place was pretty much destroyed during the war. Why would Naruto be here? Karen said that Naruto was heading north toward the border with the Land of Sound. Sakura replied, her mind focused on saving her husband. This is the only place that makes sense. Sakura turned away from Ino so that she could face Hinata. Have you seen anything yet, Hinata? Not yet, Hinata replied, as she kept scanning the area ahead of them for any signs of Naruto. But before Hinata could say any more, she suddenly caught sight of Naruto. Wait, I see Naruto-kun. Hinata's exclamation immediately got everyone's attention. He's sitting against a large rock in the middle of the valley. Goten. Oh Kami, he's hurt. What? Sakura exclaimed, running up to Hinata. How bad is he? Can you tell? Not really, Hinata said, as she searched for any noticeable injuries. His heartbeat is very slow, and I can see a large stab wound in his left shoulder. Hinata's eyes widened when she saw Naruto's right arm, or lack of one. His right arm, it's gone. What? Tenten breathed out, cupping a hand over her mouth. Someone cut off his right arm. Hinata explained, as tears formed in her eyes. Son of bitch, Sakura exclaimed, sprinting towards where Naruto was. Sakura wa. Ino tried to stop Sakura so they could come up with a plan. But Sakura wasn't going to listen, she had to get to Naruto fast. Sai, well, let's go after. All the other girls nodded and followed after Sakura. Naruto. Sakura shouted, jumping down into the valley. Seconds after she landed, Sakura spotted Naruto, and he looked far worse than anything she had expected. He was currently sitting a large pool of his own blood, his clothes drenched in the crimson liquid. Just like Hinata had said, there was a gaping hole in Naruto's left shoulder and his left arm from the elbow down was completely gone. But Sakura also noticed that Naruto's face was stained with blood as well, especially the left side of his face. Naruto. Oh Kami, what happened to you? Sakura was at Naruto's side in seconds, her hands glowing green as she did her best to heal him. Sakura-chan, what are you doing here? Naruto asked in a weak tone, as he cracked open his right eye. Tears began to pour from Sakura's eyes when she heard the pain in Naruto's voice and anguish in his eyes. Konohamaru told me you went after some serial killer. Sakura exclaimed, pumping as much chakra she could into her hands. What were you thinking? Do this on your own. Hey, knew I couldn't trust Konohamaru. I should have sent Moegi. Naruto chuckled dryly, before he coughed up a mouthful of blood. I'm sorry Sakura-chan. I didn't want to get any of you involved. You baka. Sakura sobbed, choking back a sob. I'm your wife. I want to help you with anything I can. I'm not some little girl that you need to protect anymore. I can help you now. I know you're strong Sakura-chan. Naruto said with a weak smile, as he wiped a tear from Sakura's eye. You're the strongest woman I know. Naruto, oh my Kami. Ino gasped when she saw the state Naruto was in. Immediately Ino was next to Sakura, her hands glowing green with healing chakra as well. Don't worry Naruto, we'll heal you and get you out of here. No, Naruto said, which shocked all of his girls. You all need to get out of here. What are you saying? Sakura exclaimed, glaring fiercely at Naruto. There's no way we'd abandon you. You don't understand. Naruto explained, as he stared at all of his girls. This isn't some ordinary killer, it's… Oh, looks like the gang's all here. An all too familiar voice said from behind the group. Sakura froze in place when she heard the voice she never wanted to hear again. Everyone turned around to see Sasuke smirking at them, Rinnegan back in his possession. Now I know Madara did this after he was revived. Sasuke could feel his blood once again pumping through his veins and his heart beating in his chest. Being alive is much more enjoyable than being in Edo Tensai. Sasuke. How are you alive? Tenten asked, as she took a fearful step back. Orochimaru foolishly revived me so that I could be a weapon for Oto until it properly built up its defenses. Sasuke explained, clenching and unclenching his fists. But I killed that snake and destroyed the village. You're the one who destroyed Oto. Ino exclaimed, as she was filled with a sudden rage. Her mind immediately went to the trauma patients she had performed a mind walk on. You killed hundreds of innocent people. And I'm about to kill a few more. Sasuke said coldly, unsheathing his sword, as it began to crackle with electricity. After I finish all of you off, I'm going back to Konoha and taking the title of Hokage by force. Then I'll truly begin my revolution. I was hoping I'd never see your face again. Sakura said in an eerily calm tone, not turning to face Sasuke. After what you did to me, you became a stain on my life that I wanted to forget. Sakura stood onto her feet when she managed to stop Naruto's bleeding and stabilize him. But you've badly hurt my husband and threatened my children and my village. I can't ever forgive you for that. I'm going to destroy you Sasuke, and then I'm going to forget you ever existed. That's some big talk from you Sakura. Sasuke taunted, as he smirked at the pinkett. Even if you were trained by Tsunade, we all know you stand no chance against me. I know by myself I stand no chance. Sakura said, turning to face Sasuke. The raven-haired shinobi was surprised to see that Sakura's eyes were no blood red with slitted pupils and her teeth had become more fang-like. But I'm not alone right now. One by one the rest of Naruto's eyes opened their eyes, all of them resembling Sakura's. Even Hinata and Ryuzetsu's eyes had taken on a red tint. Blood-red chakra flared off Sakura's fists as she glared at Sasuke with eyes full of fury. This ends now Sasuke, and I'm gonna be the one to kill you this time. I'd like to see you try. Sasuke shot back, as he smirked at Sakura and the other girls. I'll take you all on at once. I'm going to enjoy this, Sasuke. Sakura said, cracking her knuckles, which caused chakra to flow wildly of her fists. Suddenly the seal on Sakura's forehead released and began to snake around her body. Ino, Temari, Ryazetsu, and Konan, you guys hang back and attack at long range. Right. The four girls exclaimed simultaneously, as they retreated back to a safe attacking position. Hinata, Anko, and Tenten, you'll attack him with me at close range. Sakura said, earning nods from the three girls. We have your back, Sakura. Hinata said, as she activated his Byakugan. Chakra exploded of Hinata's hand, taking the shape of two blood-red lions. My Yuho Soshiken will tear him apart. Yeah, we'll be with you the whole way. Tenten said with a grin, unrolling one of the miniature scrolls on her wrists. After a small puff of smoke, a katana appeared in Tenten's hands. Suddenly the blade became imbued with sparking electricity. Sasuke isn't the only one who can use his chakra nature to power up his weapons. Let's do this, Pinky, Anko said, as she pulled out a kunai and licked her lips. Oh, I must say I'm rather scared now, Sasuke said in mocking tone, beginning to advance towards the girls. Well, let's make this quick. Rag, Sakura roared, as she leapt towards Sasuke. The Pinket's fist smashed into the ground where Sasuke had been standing, missing him by only a few inches. The earth underneath Sakura's fist literally exploded, showering the area in debris. You're not getting away. Tenten was on Sasuke in a second. Both shinobi clashed swords, lightning sparking off both of them. With the extra strength provided by Kurama's chakra, Tenten was easily able to match Sasuke. Sasuke and Tenten grit their teeth as their blades grinded against each other. However, Sasuke's eyes widened when Tenten suddenly reached into her pocket, only using one hand to hold him off. Tenten pulled out a kunai, the blade already electrified, and swung at Sasuke. But Sasuke reacted quickly and used his Rinnegan to teleport away from the attack. However, Sasuke had teleported right in between Anko and Hinata. Both kunoichi immediately began to ruthlessly attack Sasuke, putting him the defensive. Sasuke was forced to dodge lightning-fast strikes from Anko's snakes and incredibly powerful and precise attacks from Hinata. Each time Hinata's attack missed, Sasuke could feel the chakra stinging his skin. I can't let Hinata's attack hit me or it will begin to drain my chakra. Sasuke's train of thought was cut off when he had to dodge a flurry of ranged attacks. Paper shuriken, blades of wind, kunai with exploding tags, and Ryazetsu's kaiden, Onodoro all rained down on Sasuke simultaneously. Sasuke was forced to fall back to dodge the hailstorm of attacks. This continued for several minutes. All of the kunoichi's attacks were perfectly synchronized. Sakura's group would engage Sasuke at close range, attacking and countering any moves he used. Then Sakura's team would wordlessly back off and allow the other team launch a barrage of ranged attacks. After yet another volley of ranged attacks, Sakura decided to try something bold. With projectiles still raining down, the Pinket charged through the smoke and debris. Sasuke had just dodged several of Konan's paper shuriken when Sakura burst out of the smoke next to him. Sakura cocked her fist and struck Sasuke in the chest. All the air left Sasuke's lungs as he sent shooting backwards, crashing into a large pile of rocks. Did you get him? Tenten asked, landing next to Sakura with her sword still at the ready. There's no way he survived a punch like that, Anko said, as she placed her hands on her hips. No, he's still alive, Sakura growled, glaring at the thick cloud of dust ahead of them. I didn't feel my fist hit flesh. Well, I must say I'm rather impressed. Sasuke. Voice echoed out from within the dust cloud. Suddenly the dust cloud blew away, revealing Sasuke had used Susanoo to protect his chest. If I hadn't used Susanoo right there, I would have been turned into a bloody paste. But, Sasuke frowned when he saw several large cracks in Susanoo. You've become extremely strong, Sakura, even stronger than Suan herself. Despite using Susanoo, I still felt some of the power behind that attack. But I think it's time I finished playing with you all. Sasuke's Susanoo began to morph, taking the shape of a massive armored warrior. I'm going to kill you all here and now. How are we supposed to beat that thing? Tenten hissed, as she grit her teeth in irritation. The rest of the kunoichi gathered around Sakura and awaited orders. You saw that I managed to crack that thing before, right? Sakura asked, causing all of the girls to nod their heads. Okay, then I need you all to cover me. I'm going to take that thing down. Alright, we'll provide covering fire. Konan said, as she formed several paper bomb shuriken in between her fingers. Sakura bit her thumb and slammed her hand onto the ground. Kuchio's no jutsu. In a large puff of smoke, Katsuyu appeared in front of Sakura. Katsuyu, I need you to take Naruto to safety and further heal him. Yes ma'am, Katsuyu said, before she slithered over to where Naruto was. I'm counting on you all. Sakura said to her fellow wives with a small smile, before she turned to face Sasuke. Let's do this. Rolling her shoulders, Sakura charged towards Sasuke's Susanoo. Interesting, so just Sakura is coming after me. Sasuke muttered, as he equipped Susanoo's bow. I guess she wants to be the first one to die. Sasuke readied the bow and fired a massive arrow at Sakura. But Kunoichi easily put her medic training to use and dodged the attack. Chunks of rock and earth whipped Sakura's skin as the arrow missed her. But the wounds instantly healed themselves, causing Sakura's skin to smoke and hiss. Looks like she has some fight in her. But this one will finish her off. Sasuke prepared another arrow, this time lighting it ablaze with Amaterasu. But before Sasuke could fire, several objects hit Susanoo's arms. Down below, Konan snapped her fingers and the paper bomb shuriken exploded, causing Sasuke to briefly stumble back. That bitch. Ready Temari. Hinata yelled, gathering chakra in her palms. Yeah, let's do this Hinata. Temari replied, as she prepared her fan. Hake Kuhekisho. Futon. Kazakiri no Jutsu. The large wave of chakra and blades of wind raced towards Sasuke and struck him in the chest. The raven-haired shinobi grunted as the attacks shook his Susanoo. These girls are really starting to irritate me. Let's rain hellfire girls. Tenten exclaimed, unrolling both scrolls on her wrists. Sakura's almost there, we have to cover her. Ino exclaimed, as he readied the last of her exploding kunai. Kaden. Gokaku no Jutsu. Enko shouted, firing a massive fireball at Sasuke. Kaden. Onodoro. Dozens of ghostly balls of fire formed around Ryazetsu, before they flew towards Sasuke. The skulls of fire were much larger than usual thanks to Kurama's chakra. Next, Tenten unleashed an absolute storm of explosive kunai. Ino used every last exploding kunai she had and hurled them at Sasuke in rapid succession. Tenten on the other hand unraveled her scrolls and summoned a stunning amount of explosive kunai. The explosive kunai seemed to temporarily block out the sun as they rained down on Sasuke. The raven-haired shinobi was forced down onto one knee by the sheer amount of explosives and ranged attacks that were hitting him. This is it, Sakura roared, leaping into the air above Susanoo. A massive amount of Kurama's chakra flared off Sakura's fist as she descended towards Sasuke. Okasho, Sakura's fist rocked Susanoo's entire body and immediately began crack its armor. This isn't possible, Sasuke thought, as he watched the cracks spread further and further. Then with one last defiant roar, Sakura's fist crashed through Susanoo. Sasuke was stunned when he saw Susanoo disappear from around him. Hinata now, Sakura yelled, rapidly falling towards the ground. You're now within range of divination. Hinata muttered, as she gracefully slid into her Juken stance. Hake Rokujian Sho. Hinata suddenly shot forward, her strike shutting off 2 of Sasuke's chakra points. 2 palms. Then 4 more rapid strikes. 4 palms. Followed by 8 much faster strikes. 8 palms. Sasuke howled in pain as he felt his body slowly shutting down. 16 palms. Hinata's strikes seemed to become a blur. 32 palms. Then with one powerful step forward, Hinata finished her attack. 64 palms. Sasuke coughed up a large amount of blood as he collapsed to the ground. Because all of his chakra points had been shut down, Sasuke was completely immobilized. Nice job Hinata, Sakura said, patting her on the shoulder. The pinkett growled as she kicked Sasuke over onto his back. Sakura began to rifle through Sasuke's tunic and eventually found a small vial full of a green liquid. So you did have an antidote. I knew you were the one that poisoned Naruto the second I saw you were alive. TCH, if you're gonna kill me just do it already. Sasuke said, as he glared up at Sakura. Gladly, Sakura said in cold tone, cocking her fist back. Then with one final strike, Sakura smashed her fist into Sasuke's spine, killing him instantly. Sakura wiped the sweat off her brow and breathed a heavy sigh of relief. Sakura crouched down next to the dead Uchiha and gently extracted the Rinnegan from his left eye. She then took the Sharingan from his right eye and promptly destroyed it. Looks like it's finally over. Man, we sure caused a mess, Ino said, as she looked at the further destroyed valley around them. Come on everyone, let's go help Naruto, Sakura said, leading everyone over to where Katsuyu had taken Naruto. When the group found Naruto, Katsuyu was gone and the blonde Jinchuriki was conscious. He was still covered in blood, but he didn't look like he was at death's door anymore. So, I guess you all finished Sasuke off? Naruto asked, but he already knew the answer. The blonde Jinchuriki sighed and hung his head. I'm sorry girls, I thought I could possibly convince Sasuke to come back. I should have known the Tem wouldn't listen, and I should have asked you all to help me. You're damn right you should have, Sakura exclaimed, as she pulled Naruto into a hug, being careful not to agitate his injuries. You're lucky that Konohamaru is horrible at lying. I guess I am, Naruto said with a dry chuckle. Here, Sakura said, pulling out the antidote she had taken from Sasuke. Drink this. You managed to get the antidote. Naruto breathed out, as his one good eye widened. Sakura raised the vial to Naruto's lips and helped him drink it. So, how do you feel? Sakura asked after Naruto had finished drinking. Better, Naruto replied with his usual grin. I can already feel my chakra returning and I'm starting to sense Kurama again. Well, that's a load off our backs, Ino said, as she smiled down at Naruto. I'm glad you made it out alive, you baka. I'm so glad you're okay, Naruto-kun, Hinata said, wiping tears from her eyes. All right everyone, Sakura said, as she hoisted Naruto his feet. It took her an Anko to support the injured Jinchuriki. We need to get this idiot back to Konoha fast so we can heal him. Sakura smiled brightly as she placed a kiss on Naruto's cheek. He's still gotta be named Hokage. I don't know what I'd do without you girls, Naruto thought, a few tears escaping his eye. My life would be a mess without you all. I promise that when I'm Hokage I won't put my job over my family and I'll be the best dad ever. Hokage Tower, 10 years later. As I've stated in my previous reports, I'd Konoha and Suna's support in establishing new trade routes with. Naruto was trying his best to pay attention and focus on what Chojuro was saying, but he simply couldn't keep his mind on task. Covertly suppressing a yawn, Naruto leaned back in his chair and rested his hands behind his head. The blonde Hokage was much more focused on imagining what he'd be having for dinner, than any of the boring jargon that Chojuro was spouting. Kami, why does Shikamaru force me to go to these stupid things? Naruto thought, lazily glancing at the clock on the wall across the room. Inwardly groaning when he saw what time it was, Naruto turned his attention to his fellow Kage. Darui sat on the other side of the table and appeared to be intently listening to Chojuro, occasionally nodding his head and agreeing with Chojuro. However, Naruto could tell that Darui was bored out of his mind, if the dull look in his eyes and rapid tapping of his foot were any indication. Naruto and Darui briefly locked eyes, both Kage expressing the boredom that they shared without words. Next Naruto glanced at Gaara, his fellow Jinchuriki sitting right next to him. If Darui looked bored, Gaara looked as if he was about to fall asleep. The Kage's eyelids were starting to droop as he fought to stay awake. Naruto knew exactly why Gaara was so exhausted and he chuckled lightly when he remembered his son, Amanoke's, keeping his uncle Gaara up late into the night, telling the boy story after story until he eventually fell asleep. Amanoke's really looked up to his uncle, so Naruto was happy that Gaara frequently made time to visit and spend time with his nephew. Giving Gaara a quick pat on the back to help wake him up, Naruto turned his attention to the final Kage at the meeting. Kuretsuchi had taken over as Tsuchikage 7 years earlier, shortly after her grandfather had finally decided to step down, albeit very reluctantly. The dark-haired Kage was currently focusing on something other than their meeting. Her eyebrows wriggled playfully as she stared at Naruto, biting her bottom lip. It had been quite a while since Naruto had been intimate with Kuretsuchi, and he could tell that she was starting to get a little antsy. After Kuretsuchi had taken over as Tsuchikage, she was true to her word and frequently visited Konoha on missions of good faith, although those missions usually ended with Kuretsuchi on all fours as Naruto pounded into her. But lately the workload had drastically picked up and Kuretsuchi had to cut back on her trips to Konoha. It had been almost 3 months since her last visit, so Kuretsuchi was more than eager to get some alone time with the blonde Hokage. Kuretsuchi had already jumped Naruto in the hallway, shoving him into a supply closet as she roughly slammed her lips against his. She was frantically attempting to get his belt and pants off, but Naruto had quickly stopped her. He wanted some private time with her as well, but it would have to wait until later. Although a little disappointed, Kuretsuchi accepted this and promised to meet Naruto at his home later that night. Naruto grinned at Kuretsuchi, blowing her a quick kiss. Ahem, Chojuro exclaimed, coughing into his fist. Naruto stiffened when he saw Chojiro's annoyed glare. If you're done fooling around, Naruto, I'd like to continue this meeting without any more interruptions. Sai, don't even bother. Chojiro, Shikamaru said in a bored tone, as he lazily leaned back in his seat. That isn't even the real Naruto. What are you talking about, Shikamaru? Chojiro asked, quirking his eyebrow in confusion. That's just a Kage Bunshin. Shikamaru explained, which caused everyone to turn their attention to the blonde Hokage. Naruto probably switched places just before the meeting started. Ha ha, you're such a kidder, Shikamaru. Naruto laughed nervously, rubbing the back of his head. I would never do something irresponsible like that. You did it 5 times last week. Shikamaru said in a deadpan tone, as his shadow began to slowly extend towards Naruto's. One of the time you actually did it twice in one day. I'm telling you it's really. Naruto stopped mid-sentence when he felt his whole body freeze stiff. Shikamaru, what are you doing? Sai, you can be so troublesome sometimes. Shikamaru said, as he pulled a kunai out of his pocket. You're lucky that Shizune and I are here to cover your ass all the time. Then without warning, Shikamaru threw the kunai at Naruto. Everyone gasped when the kunai embedded itself into Naruto's shoulder, causing the blonde Hokage to cringe in pain, but a moment later Naruto exploded into a cloud of smoke. Releasing a light sigh, Shikamaru leaned back in his chair once again. See, told you it was Kage Bunshin. What if that was the real Naruto? Kuretsuchi exclaimed, slamming her hands onto the table as she shot up from her seat. You could have seriously hurt him. Naruto has pulled this stunt enough times that I can easily tell when he's switched places with a clone. Shikamaru replied in a bored tone, as he shrugged his shoulders. And why do you think I threw the kunai at his shoulder, away from any vital organs? In the off chance that was actually Naruto, he would be fine. Sure, he'd be hurt for a minute, but Kurama would heal him in no time. And if Kurama wasn't healing Naruto for some reason, we could easily get a medic in her to patch him up, no problem. TCH, I guess you're right. Kuretsuchi said in annoyed tone, indignantly crossing her arms over her chest as she sunk back into her seat. Doesn't mean I have to like it though. If Naruto isn't here, where do you suppose he's at? Gaara asked, the sudden commotion fully waking him up. Shikamaru hummed, glancing at his watch. If I had to guess, judging by the time, he's probably picking his kids up from the academy. Really? Darui said, as he quirked an eyebrow in surprise. Getting picked up by the Hokage must be nice. Well, to Naruto family comes before his job. Shikamaru said with a small smile on his face. Naruto is here when he needs to be, but most of the time he leaves a clone so that he can spend time with his family. Shikamaru shrugged his shoulders once again. Which isn't too much of a problem. The Kage Bunshin are basically Naruto, so it's usually no big deal if he switches with one. And with his Hiraishin jutsu, Naruto can get from one end of the village to the other in the blink of an eye, so if we really need him he could be here in a second. But Naruto is always here for anything really important. So, I take it my meeting wasn't deemed important enough for Naruto to come in person. Chojuro asked in an irritated tone, his brow twitching slightly. To be honest, I didn't think this meeting was very necessary either. Shikamaru said, as he stood up from his seat. We could have easily done this over the phone, instead of gathering all the Kage for a meeting. Shikamaru made his way out of the room, but stopped in the doorway. He turned his head to look back at Chojuro. You know you didn't have to call for a meeting in Konoha just to check up on Mei-sama. Chojuro instantly stiffened when Shikamaru said this, his face burning beet red, causing the other Kage to snicker. If that's all I'm gonna take off. Oh, and don't worry, I was actually paying attention, so I'll fill Naruto in later. With a wave, Shikamaru exited the room. So you wanted to check up on Mei-sama? Kuretsuchi asked with a teasing smirk. Yes, no. I mean, Chojuro stuttered, causing Kuretsuchi and Darui to giggle, while Gaara simply smiled in amusement. Gah, shut up. Same time, Konoha Shinobi Academy. Are you sure it was okay for you to skip out on your meeting like that? Fu asked, as she cradled her sleeping 2-year-old daughter in her arms. The little girl was named Kohana, and she sported pale green hair with her mother's amber eyes. Fu had come to Konoha 3 years earlier and had immediately moved in with Naruto and his family, where she was accepted with open arms. Only a few short months after arriving, Fu had married Naruto and was pregnant with his child. She now had 2 rings on her arm, instead of 1, to signify her joining Naruto's main family. Kohana began to slightly stir, making Fu lull her back to sleep. You didn't need to come with us. Yeah, we could have done this by ourselves, Mei said, brushing a few auburn locks out of her eye. The former Mizukage had moved to Konoha 4 years earlier, after handing over the title of Mizukage to Chojuro. Initially there was some backlash to Mei leaving Kiri and moving Konoha, but with the strengthened relations between the shinobi villages and some convincing from Naruto, Mei was able to stay in Konoha. Mei had retired from the shinobi life after marrying Naruto, although she would help the children train and would occasionally aid Naruto in matters regarding Kurigakure. More than content to help raise the other children, Mei decided not have a child of her own, which briefly disappointed Naruto, but he respected her decision and didn't question her. A sultry smirk spread across Mei's face as she hugged Naruto's arm. Although I'm not gonna complain about our handsome husband joining us. Ah, don't worry about it, I left a clone behind, so I should be fine. Naruto said, as he wrapped an arm around Mei's waist, pulling her close. The former Mizukage smiled softly and rested her head on Naruto's shoulder. Besides, the meeting wasn't all that important. Shikamaru can fill me in on the details later. Naruto suddenly chuckled, causing Mei to glance up at him. To be honest, I think Chojuro only called the meeting to visit you. That boy, Mei said with a small smile, slowly shaking her head. He's so silly to worry about me, but he's also so sweet. Well, you were. Naruto was cut off when the academy's bell rang and a large flock of children burst out of the front doors. This year's class was one of the largest in the academy's history, thanks to all of Naruto's children wanting to become shinobi. The first students out the doors were Minato and Boruto, who had quickly become rivals. Ha! I totally beat you, Minato exclaimed proudly, as a cocky grin spread across his face. Boruto was a few inches shorter than Minato, so he had to look up to glare at his brother rival. The hell you did? I beat you by half a second, Boruto yelled, standing on his tiptoes to get in Minato's face. You're just pissed that you lost. You wanna go pipsqueak? Minato asked, as he butted heads with Boruto. I'll kick your ass in any competition. Oh really? Boruto shouted, sparks flying in between both brothers' eyes. I'd like to see you try. Guys, you should probably calm down, Shinichiku said, as he tried to step in between his bickering brothers. Back off, Boruto and Minato yelled simultaneously, causing Shinichiku to release a light sigh. Well, I tried to warn you guys, Shinichiku said, as he shrugged his shoulders and walked away. Don't come crying to me later. Sigh, did they have to do this every day? Fu muttered, pinching the bridge of her nose in irritation. I get that a little competition is a good thing, but those two just don't stop. Ah, don't worry about it, Sasuke and I were the same when I was their age. They'll eventually get over it and be best friends, Naruto said, spotting another one of his children emerge from the academy. The blonde Hokage suddenly chuckled lightly. Besides, they won't be fighting much longer. What are you? Fu stopped when she saw who Naruto was looking at. Oh, now I get it. You're really starting to piss me off, Boruto exclaimed, roughly grabbing the front of Minato's shirt. Name the time and place, and we'll settle this once and for all, Minato yelled, as he continued to glare at Boruto. Will both of you shut the hell up? A new furious voice echoed out from behind the two brothers, causing both of them to stiffen in fear. Minato and Boruto slowly turned their heads to see Kushina standing behind them, her long pink locks hiding her face as she cracked her knuckles. Your constant fighting is seriously getting on my damn nerves. But, Kushina, he started. No talking back, Kushina yelled, punching both boys in the back of the head. Minato and Boruto's heads slammed into the ground as Kushina cracked her knuckles once again. Now apologize to each other before I really get angry. Sorry. Both boys mumbled, as they slowly got back onto their feet. That was pathetic. I want a sincere apology from both of you. Kushina exclaimed, lifting her brothers off the ground by their shirts. Or do I have to tell Sakura Okasan that you've been fighting again? Anything but that. Boruto and Minato yelled, as their eyes widened in panic. Kushina let both boys down and they immediately shook hands. I'm sorry about yelling at you. Minato said, rubbing the back of his head in embarrassment. Yeah, I'm sorry about egging you on like that. Boruto said, as he avoided his brother's gaze. At a girl, she really takes after her mother. I'm so proud of her. Naruto said, wiping an imaginary tear from his eye. It almost makes me want to cry. Well, they were smart, making sure Sakura didn't get involved. Fu said, just as Kohana woke up from her nap. All the recent activity had roused the small girl, so Fu set her back down, watching as she quickly ran off to greet her older brothers and sisters. She's been so stressed with work lately, that she's had an even shorter temper than usual. Yeah, you don't have to remind me. Naruto said, massaging his sore arm. I thought she was gonna break my arm. It's your fault for bugging her when she was taking a nap. Mei said with a teasing smirk. Hey, I was letting her know that dinner was ready. Naruto defended himself, as he crossed his arms over his chest. And how was I supposed to know she was taking a nap? I see that your family is still lively as ever. Naruto, Fu, and Mei turned around to see Karen and Itachi walking towards them. Karen, Itachi, it's so good to see you two again. Naruto said, pulling Karen in for a tight hug. How's Sarada doing? She's been great. Karen replied with a smile, as Naruto released her from his embrace. She's near the top of her class, which is especially impressive because all of your kids are in her class, and I know how talented your children are. I agree, all your children are quite skilled, Naruto. Itachi said, wrapping an arm around Karen's waist. Well, with the talented people they have as parents, it's no surprise they're all turning out to be outstanding shinobi. Thanks, we make sure they don't slack off too much. Naruto said, embarrassed by the praise his children were getting. But from what I've seen of Sarada so far, she's going to end up being excellent ninja. Plus Sakura's taking a real interest in her. She's talked about possibly taking Sarada on as an apprentice. I'm flattered, but I'd like to wait until Sarada has some more experience under her belt. Karen said, remembering her brutal training with Sakura. I don't want her to be traumatized. Yeah, I understand, Naruto said, as he rubbed the back of his neck. Sakura can be a little intense with her training regime. That's not the word I'd use. Karen muttered underneath her breath, just as another group of children exited the academy. Daddy. Naruto turned around to see Himawari and Aim running towards him. Both girls had massive smiles on their faces as they hugged their father's waist. I didn't know you were gonna be here, Daddy. Aim said, looking up at Naruto with shining amber eyes. Did you get out of work early and come see us? Haha, something like that. Naruto said with a nervous laugh, as he scratched his chin. Is Mama here too? Himawari asked, scanning around for her mother with her Byakugan. No, Hinata-chan isn't here right now. Naruto replied, as he patted Himawari on the head. She had to go on a quick mission late last night with Tenten-chan and Ryazetsu, but they should be back very soon. Okay, that explains why Mama wasn't home this morning. Himawari said with a bright smile. Hey Pops. Naruto looked down to see that Hikaru was standing in front of him. The purple-haired girl was eating a sucker, as she extended her fist towards her father. How's my little snake charmer doing? Naruto asked with a grin, bumping fists with his daughter. He couldn't help but chuckle when he spotted a group of blushing boys staring at Hikaru. I see that you're still quite popular with boys. They giving you any trouble? Not really, Hikaru said with a sadistic smile, as she bit down into her sucker, causing it to break apart. None of those chumps can handle me anyway. Kami, she's just like her mother. Naruto thought, releasing a nervous chuckle. I can't tell if that's a good or bad thing. Hey Daddy. Naruto tore his attention from Hikaru to see a smiling Kushina leading the rest of his children towards him, as she carried Konoha in her arms. I'm surprised to see you here. Did you skip out on another meeting? Me, skip out on a meeting? Naruto asked, pretending to be offended by the accusation. I'm appalled that you'd think I'd do something so irresponsible. Dad, Kushina said, as she gave her father knowing look. Do I have to tell mom that you were slacking off again? Oh Kami, please don't do that. Naruto pleaded, falling to his knees. Sakura-chan will kill me. I'll do anything you want, just don't tell your mom. Relax daddy, Kushina said with a smile, as she flicked her father's forehead. I was just messing with you. Handing Konoha back to Fu, Kushina put her hands on her hips. You should know that I'm not a tattletale. I know, but your mother can be seriously scary when she's mad. Naruto said, getting back onto his feet and rubbing the small red mark on his head. So why don't we make this our little secret? My lips are sealed, Kushina said with a bright smile, as she walked past her father. We should start heading home, we all have a lot of homework to do. Aw man, I wanted to hang out with my friends. Raiji whined, crossing his arms over his chest as her pouted like a child. I don't wanna do stupid homework. You can hang out with your friends after you're done with your homework. Kushina said, as she grabbed Raiji's arm and started dragging him back home. I'll even help tutor you so you'll finish even faster. No, Raiji yelled, trying to break free of Kushina's extremely strong grip. With you tutoring we'll never finish. Spotting Boruto and Minato out of the corner of his eye, Raiji desperately reached out to them. Guys, please help me. Sorry man, you're on your own. Boruto muttered, as he turned his away from Raiji. Yeah, I'm getting involved. Minato said, nervously rubbing his arm. Traitors, Raiji shouted, just as Kushina dragged him around a corner. I'll remember this. Man, we really got lucky there. Minato said, releasing a light sigh. Yeah, I thought we'd get roped into that as well. Boruto said, as he rubbed the back of his head. You two aren't off the hook yet. Naruto said, grabbing a hold of both boys' shoulders. Minato and Boruto turned their heads and saw that their father had a mischievous smile on his face. I have something much more fun in store for you. The brothers exchanged a worried look and audibly gulped. 2 hours later, Sakura Uzumaki's office. Sakura's bright emerald eyes quickly scanned over the medical report in her hand. Nodding her head, Sakura set the report on her desk and signed it. Sakura pushed the paper off to the side and leaned back in her chair. Glancing up at the clock on the wall, she sighed when she saw that it was only 5:30. It would still be at least another hour before she could head home and see her family. It had been a very slow day and Sakura wanted nothing more than to see her children and spend some time alone with her husband. Knowing Naruto, he'd find a way to slip out of the office early and head home. Sakura was fine with Naruto leaving work early, just as long as he finished his all work and wasn't missing anything important. A sudden knock at her door caused Sakura to lean back forward in her chair. Come in, Sakura called out, as she quickly fixed her long pink hair so that it was presentable. Expecting a nurse, Sakura was quite surprised when Shikamaru walked into her office. Shikamaru, what are you doing here? However, Shikamaru didn't say a word, he merely sighed and shoved his hands into his pockets. Sakura immediately caught on and groaned in annoyance. It's my baka husband, isn't it? When Shikamaru nodded his head, Sakura massaged her temples to quell her irritation. Damn it, Sai, what did he do this time? Well, aside from swapping with a Kage Bunshin and bailing on AA meeting. Shikamaru replied, gesturing towards a nearby window. I think it'd be best if you just took a look for yourself. Sakura quickly got out of her seat and made her way towards the window. From her office, Sakura could see majority of the village. Sakura gazed at the buildings below, but her eyes quickly fell upon the Hokage monument. When she saw the stone monument, her fists clenched tightly and her brow twitched in anger. That baka, I told him to stop doing shit like this, he's the Hokage for Kami's sake. Sakura's low voice dripped with anger as she stormed towards the door. And why does he always have to get the kids involved in his stupid shenanigans? With a slight growl, Sakura slammed the door behind her, causing the frame and surrounding wall to crack. Sometimes I feel bad for the poor guy, having such a hot-headed woman be his wife. Shikamaru said to himself, as he pulled out a pack of cigarettes. Placing one in his mouth, Shikamaru searched for his lighter. After finding the lighter, Shikamaru lit his cigarette and took a quick puff, a small smile spreading across his face. But the baka brings it upon himself. Hey, I guess it just shows how much those two truly love each other. If they didn't, they wouldn't be able to stand each other. Rubbing the back of his head, Shikamaru walked out of Sakura's office, careful not to damage her door any further. I still don't understand women at all. Same time, Konoha's main gate. Damn, that mission was such a bore. Ryazetsu said, as she stretched her tired limbs. They could have only sent one of us and it would have been fine. Yeah, sending all three of us was kinda overkill. Tenten said, adjusting the miniature scrolls around her wrists. I mean, all we had to do was escort an AIM diplomat until we rendezvoused with his own team. Sending 3 Jonin was way too much. Well, the diplomat did ask for you specifically, Tenten. He felt more secure with you protecting him, since you're the most famous weapon user in Konoha. And you both know how Naruto-kun is. Hinata said, as the trio walked through Konoha's main gate. He knows how strong we all are, but he still worries about us. So whenever any of us gets a mission, he makes sure that we'll be safe without a shadow of a doubt. It's really sweet of him. Ryazetsu said, noticing that several people had ran past them in a hurry. But I kind of feel bad for those bandits that tried to jump us. Yeah, they were poorly equipped amateurs hoping for an easy score. But I guess they got their targets mixed up or something. Tenten said, as she took note of the people running by as well. I mean, with Hinata's Byakugan we saw them coming before they were even finished setting up. We took most of them out before they even left their hiding spots. That damn diplomat even found it amusing. Yeah, I guess Hinata was cut off when someone suddenly and roughly bumped into her. Stumbling for a moment, Hinata quickly regained her balance. Excuse me. Watch where you're going. But it was too late, whoever had bumped into her was long gone. What the heck is going on? Hinata glanced around to see several other people who seemed to be in quite a hurry. Everyone's in such a rush for some reason. It looks like they're heading towards the Hokage monument. Tenten said, following the general direction where the people were going. Something must be going on ever there. And it doesn't look like they're in a panic either. Ryazetsu said, as she rubbed her chin. You guys wanna go check it out? Sure, we're not in any hurry to give our mission reports. Hinata said with a small smile. Plus I want to know what's causing such a big commotion. Let me save you the trouble. A new, familiar voice said from behind the trio. They all turned around to see Anko and Ino standing behind them. That commotion is being caused by the Gaki. It has something to do with Naruto. Ryazetsu asked, as she quirked a white eyebrow. That actually makes a lot of sense. What did he do this time? We don't know. Ino replied, shrugging her shoulders. We were actually on our way to check it out as well. All we know is that it has something to do with the Hokage monument and that apparently Minato and Boruto were spotted with him as well. A possible unknown fourth suspect was spotted, but there's been no confirmation. He got those two involved as well. Tenten said, as she released a sigh and pinched the bridge of her nose. Sakura absolutely hates it when he gets the kids involved in his pranks. Well, it's not like the kids ever say no when he asks them to tag along. Hinata said, activating her Byakugan and spotting Naruto, Minato, and Boruto on top of the Hokage monument. Well, we better get over there and try to help him before Sakura finds out. Naruto. Never mind, it's too late for him. Ino said, easily recognizing the Pinkett scream from across the village. Well, might as well go and watch the fireworks. Anko said with a sadistic smile. Same time, Hokage monument. Haha, you two did an excellent job. Naruto boisterously laughed, as he patted Boruto and Minato on the back. This may be our best work yet. Yeah, I don't think we'll be able to top this. Boruto said, wiping some sweat off his brow. I'm surprised we managed to finish it so quickly. Minato said, as he gazed down at work they had just completed. Well, I couldn't have done it without your help. Naruto said with a foxy grin, placing his hand on his son's shoulders. You both were a big help. I just hope your Sakura-chan likes it. Sai, did you really have to get me involved in this mess as well? Naruto turned his grin towards the final member of their little group. Sai's voice was emotionless, but Naruto could see a ghost of a smile on his face. Sakura is going to be quite upset. A slight chill suddenly ran down Sai's spine. I can already feel her tugging on my ear. Ah, don't worry about it, Sai. Naruto exclaimed, as he playfully slapped Sai on the back. Once Sakura-chan sees everything, she'll love it. Naruto smiled and leaned closer, so that he could whisper to Sai. And don't try to lie. I know you really wanted to help us. Naruto wrapped his arm around Sai's shoulder and pulled him close. You're a member of Team 7 and we stick together. Alright, I get it. Sai said with a small smile, gently pushing Naruto away. Just don't get so close. Naruto. Get your ass down here now. There's my cue. Naruto said, turning to face his sons. Boruto and Minato, you two stay up here. Both boys nodded as Naruto walked to the edge of the monument. Well, I'm off, wish me luck. With one final grin and a wave, Naruto teleported off the monument. A split second later Naruto was in front of Sakura, and a rather large crowd of people, with his famous foxy grin on his face. Hey Sakura-chan, how's your day been? How's my day been? Sakura parroted, as she felt her anger spike. Crossing her arms angrily over her chest, Sakura glared up at her husband. Oh, it was going just fine until Shikamaru suddenly showed up in my office. Apparently you skipped out on a meeting and now you're pulling some stupid prank. Sakura suddenly grabbed the front of Naruto's shirt and pulled him close, but his grin still remained. And worst of all, you dragged Boruto and Minato into. Hold on a second, Sakura-chan, before you say anything else. Naruto said, cutting his wife off and gesturing to the Hokage monument. Why don't you take a look at what me and the kids painted? Sakura glared at Naruto for a few more moments, before she turned her attention to the Hokage monument. What she saw caused her eyes to widen. Painted across Tsunade, Kakashi, and Naruto's faces was a massive portrait of her family, including all her fellow wives and children. The painting was quite detailed and extremely colorful. Happy birthday, Sakura-chan, Naruto said, his grin even wider than before. I hope you like your present. Naruto. You painted that? For me? Sakura asked, as she felt tears sting her eyes. Well, it wasn't just me. Naruto said with a quick chuckle, rubbing the back of his head. Hey mom, happy birthday. Minato and Boruto exclaimed from the top of the monument, as they waved down at Sakura. They were a big help as well, also. Naruto said, just as Sai appeared next to Boruto and Minato. Sai helped design the actual picture. The boys and I simply painted it. Naruto's face suddenly flushed bright red in embarrassment. I didn't want to just get you a normal gift this year. I wanted to do something that would show the entire village how much I, and the rest our family, love you. Naruto. You baka, Sakura breathed out with tears streaming down her cheeks. She lunged forward and tightly wrapped her arms around Naruto, resting her head against his chest. I love you so much. I love you too, Sakura-chan. Naruto said, cupping Sakura's chin and capturing Sakura's lips in a passionate kiss, causing the crowd around them to burst into cheers. Not quite the fireworks I was expecting, but these are nice as well. Enko said, as she, along with the rest of Naruto's wives, watched the scene from a nearby rooftop. Well, we should get home and finish preparing for the party. Konan said, placing her hands on her hips. I heard that Yugito, Shion, and Fumiko just arrived a short while ago. Yeah, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and everyone else is already there setting things up. Tamari said, as she leaned against her large fan. I hope Naruto does something special like that for my birthday. Ino said with a smile, staring at the portrait painted across the Hokage monument. It's coming up in a few weeks, right? Tenten asked, which caused Ino to nod her head. You know Naruto-kun. Hinata said with a smile, gazing at Naruto and Sakura, who were staring lovingly at each other. He always goes all out. Alright, let's get going everyone. We still have a lot of work to do. Ryazetsu said, as the small group leapt off the rooftops in the direction of their home. Do you like your gift, Mom? Minato asked, landing next to Sakura, with Boruto quickly following. Yeah, did we do a good job? Boruto said with a hopeful look in his eyes. I love it, Sakura said, as she wiped the tears from her eyes. It's the best gift I've ever received. Sakura hugged both boys and kissed the top of their heads. Thank you, I love you both. We love you too, Mom. Both boys exclaimed with toothy grins. Minato. Kushina. Sakura thought, staring up the sky as a few more tears escaped her eyes. I can't thank you two enough. You both opened my eyes and showed me my true love. Your son is such an amazing man, even though he can act like really immature sometimes, but that's one of the reasons I love him. You would be so proud of all of his accomplishments and you'd be amazed how many lives he's changed for the better. Sakura lowered her gaze and locked eyes with her husband once again. Falling in love with Naruto, and starting a family with him, has been the greatest experience of my life. Thank you for watching all the way through this fanfiction. Don't forget to support the author. Make sure to like and subscribe and have a nice day.